One of these days, I'm going to have a proper countdown video made for us. Anyway,
I
hello,
mean,
Henshin. What?
you could do like the in space countdown.
I like how you think. I like
You
how
know?
you think. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, hello, Henshineers, Henshin Nation, whichever you prefer. We're debating which one to use. And yes, Jake, he was falling asleep waiting for us, but one of my co-hosts for Henshin Power V3, it's time. So he wasn't able to join us tonight, but he's in the chat. All
Okay.
right. Yeah. So I am Nathan Marchand, aka the Sue Bro. Get it? Sue Bro instead of Sue Pro. Huh? We're clever around here. On Henshin Power V3. And joining me tonight for the first time, I think this is the first time I've had you on any of my podcasts.
Is it really?
Yeah. You've had me on Toku Secrets a couple of times, but but this is the first time I've had you on any of mine.
Damn, we got to fix that going forward.
Well, yeah. Well, why do you think I don't want to throw you under the bus too much, Riz, but I was trying to get a hold of you to be because I was like, hey, you want to be on the Monster Island Film Vault? And I'm like, sure. And then I tried to get a hold of you. I'm like, well, he didn't get a hold of me. Time to find a substitute.
It's my fault.
Yeah, time to find a substitute, which is okay. It's okay. Yeah. There will be other opportunities. Oh, yeah. I am sure. But anyway, tell the peoples, since this is your first time here, who you are.
Hey guys, so I'm Rizwan Merchant. I own AnimeSecrets.org, which owns 3 different podcasts for 3 different things. And I'm pretty sure you can guess by context clues what these each deal with. So one, we have a podcast called Anime Declassified, which deals with anime and just reviewing it. Then we got Toku Secrets podcast, which Nathan, can you guess what Toku Secrets podcast is all about?
I'm going to say cooking.
Yes. Exactly. Cooking and art. No, it's all about Tokusatsu, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider. We are currently going through Maho Sentai Majou Ranger, and we're also going through number 1 Sentai Godzujutsu, which is indirectly a topic of tonight's podcast, as far as I understand it.
Well, more than indirectly, I would say. But
well, I mean, it involves a cast, and yeah. Anyway,
yeah, it's to call it to call Super Sentai a hot mess right now would be an understatement.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a very big understatement. And then thirdly, we have the Jedi Squadron.
Hey, Aka Eagle, you're jumping ahead. Anyway, yes, Seiju is evil.
Yes, Aka Eagle has arrived. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's, I've been absorbing a lot about tonight's topics. I don't know if my takes would be considered quote unquote hot, but I do have a bit of a nuanced opinion on things. But
I have opinions that I've made on my podcast in the last podcast. I think was it the last one? I think it was. Mm-hmm. We have stuff in the stream. You know how it is, like up ahead, like scheduling out. So I don't know where we are in the schedule anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we are. We also have a podcast called Jedi Squadron, which is all about Star Wars. Now, I will admit, the Toku Secrets podcast is kind of the one that has the iron hot most of the time. The other 2 are kind of sort of on and off, depending on the topic, but we do try to maintain all 3. We're also on YouTube, where we post a lot of convention footage. Nathan, not this Nathan on this podcast, but my
the other Nathan. Yeah, it was only a little confusing when I was that one time. One of the episodes I was on, because he was on it too.
Yeah, so my Nathan Desa, and I have just come back from Ranger Stop Orlando. So we're uploading a lot of stuff right now from that convention almost every day. So yeah, no, but that's kind of just my spiel in a nutshell.
Yeah, so we have a lot to get into. I wouldn't. My co-hosts and I have sometimes toyed with the idea of doing. We were talking about some news items when we're doing a regular episode, but then our production got slowed down. We realized that news became very out of date very quickly, and then we're like, well, maybe we can do monthly live streams or do news roundups or whatever. So this is kind of a trial run for that. And it's largely because what we're talking about is, I think, is going to have far-reaching effects. on the stuff that we love, and possibly on my podcast, even though the focus of Henshin Power V3 is on stuff that is readily available to, or at least has been released stateside, whereas you guys are like, screw that, we're just going to do whatever we want. So yeah, but even then, like I said, I think it's going to affect everything.
I mean, look, I take the Go Kaiser moniker very seriously, okay?
Yeah. This is going to have far-reaching effects, I think, even for Power Rangers.
It
honest.
is. No, the 3 topics you have listed here tonight, at least 2 of them, in my humble opinion, will have everlasting stains on the collective tokusatsu fandom across the Western and Eastern audiences.
For sure. All right. And with that, let's get into, I guess you could say, our headline issue, at least if you go off of the thumbnail, because this has been the one that people have been talking about the most for the last few weeks. Even though the second topic was dominating for a while and might be related, I don't know. It depends on how conspiratorial I want to get. But the funny name for it is people are calling it Maya Gate because everything is a gate now.
I mean, yeah.
Thank you. I was going to say, thank you, Gen Xers and Richard Nixon.
Yep.
But yes, Maya Gate. So Maya Imamori. Now you might be able to speak to this a little bit more accurately because like I said, I haven't been following Gojuger, but she was one of the cast members for the current Sentai, which is it's number 1 Sentai Gojuger. Is that correct?
Yes. So number 1 Sentai Gojuger. It's the 49th season of Super Sentai, but the 50th anniversary. And no, Aka Eagle, I am not.
No, I was going to say, Aka Eagle, you don't have to worry about that here. Do I want to spoil it now or wait till later? But
we'll hold off. We'll hold off.
Yeah, we're gonna hold off. But I have nothing kind to say about Seiju like I do about. It seems the more I hear about Japanese talent agencies, the more I hate them. Anyway,
wait, Nathan, I'm on your podcast tonight. I can use Rantmaster.
Yes.
Yes. It's been a dream of mine as a podcaster to one day be able to use the Rantmaster with you present.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, if you want the sound effect, I could send you the sound effect. Just give me proper attribution. You wouldn't be the first podcast I have given the sound effect to.
Just add a little clip at the end of the explosion that says trademark by Nathan Marchand.
Yeah, that's basically what the other podcast did, the Cellcast. They're good friends of mine.
Oh hell yeah, I'm gonna do that because we need that. So right now
we kind of do. Just let me know when you want. Just let me know when you want it.
Okay. So for our podcast, I have the Palpatine. Yes, good. Give into your hate.
Yes, good.
That's how we begin our rant.
Kill him.
Yes. So that's how we get our rants going. But I think the Rantmaster is just a better audio sound.
There's a funny story behind where that came from. I'll tell you off the air.
Okay.
Anyway, so that is the current Sentai. It's the 50th anniversary Sentai, which is tied to one of our other subjects tonight that getting a little intense there. And she's pardon my ignorance, but I don't think Gojuger has a Pink Ranger, but she's basically the Pink Ranger.
C is the Black Ranger, and she's
a Black Ranger, which is noteworthy because it's the first, whether Sentai or Rangers, it's the first time that we've had.
Well, be careful with that. Hyperforce did have a female Black.
That's true. It just depends on if you consider Hyperforce canon or not. I've heard that
Boom
some people
Studios considers a canon.
Dubious, but
yeah. So Boom considers a canon. I will consider a canon.
Okay, but barring Hyperforce,
right?
She is the first female Black Ranger on either side of the franchise.
Oh, you have Edwin in here too?
Yes. Edwin is one of my biggest fans.
Oh, did I get him from you?
You might have. He is like, he listens to all of my podcasts. He's starting to buy my books and everything. And he migrates over to some of my friends and listens to them now.
Okay. Well, hey, there you go. it's like this communal trading card game between the different podcasts, I guess, where we just trade.
You're welcome. Let's see what he has to say just really quick, because this is one of Edwin's things, is giving people funny nicknames that last for one live stream, and then he comes up with more. The rebooted Space Sheriffs from the reboot Space Sheriff Gavin. Let's see. The movie, Jake Kai Hyuga Space Sheriff Sherivan. I hope I'm reading. Yeah, I think I'm reading that the order correctly. And then so apparently I'm Sherivan, and you're Scheider.
Yeah, I'm Cider Rhythm.
There you go.
Or is he misspelling my name? I can't tell. Anyway.
I think he misspelled your name. He does that.
That's fine.
But we love him anyway. Anyway.
It's cool.
Yep. So anyway, so it's the current Sentai. And I think she's the only female member of the team, right?
Yes. She's the only female member of the team.
Yeah, so basically the Pink Ranger, for all intents and purposes. I'm not going to be pedantic about that.
The tropes are there. It's just a different color, but the trope exists. And she does. And I will say, in the plus column of Go's user, Maya's character is by far, in my opinion, one of the only things I've really enjoyed about Go's user so far. And mind you, I'm not current with the Sentai. I stopped around whatever the Tuku Secrets podcast ended on last time, which I think was episode 28.
Okay.
So just want to throw it out there.
Well, and to give context, they're up to
39,
38. Well, 39. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know anymore, but around there.
It's around there. But yeah. And for what I understand, Miss Imamori has gotten pretty popular in Japan. From what I understand, in Japan, and the Western fan base likes her quite a bit. Perhaps a little too much at points, but she's also, just to give a bit of context, she's also got some vocal haters. I want to say they're a small group of haters, but they are a loud group of haters.
Are you talking about the haters that they talk about online that relate to her heritage?
Yeah, the fact that she's half Filipino.
Okay, so I have opinions on that. And I don't know if that's where you want to unpack it here. If you want to unpack it later, I'm good either way.
Yeah, I'm just giving context just to let people know. And, I'm not entirely sure where to start after just saying this is the show. This is her character. She's popular.
I think the best way to honestly begin, in my opinion, and it's taking a leaf out of my Tuku Secrets podcast I recorded last week, is it might be good just to lay out the original allegations and then break into the history of how C relates to Asai and how things have bubbled up since those two articles came out in September. And I can re-give the entire history if you need. I have all the articles.
I think that would be fine, because to be honest, things have still changed since you guys did your episode.
Yeah, I actually have a bunch of notes right now for a follow-on podcast we're going to record tomorrow night with our crew. I would give you guys the notes for it tonight, but I'm not done doing my research yet. There's still one or two things,
and I don't want to take away from Tuku Secrets at all.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not because of that. It's because I am still trying to hunt down one more fact, and I think that will be, if I can get the right info in time for tomorrow night, I think that would help settle my case on everything. But I'm just not there yet. I'm still trying to dig into it. And Japanese is a very difficult thing to look into because I don't speak Japanese. So
yeah, and let me tell you, Google Translate is handy, but I have realized with some languages it works much better than others. I found that out doing research for the Monster Island Film Vault. If I have it translate Japanese websites, it gets very wonky. But then there was one time I needed to get information from a Norwegian newspaper, online newspaper. It was fine.
Well, and the thing you got to remember with some of this stuff coming out of like Google Translate, the translations are not accurate, especially for Japanese. They
Mhm.
get pronouns wrong. They get some phrasing incorrect. So I've taken the habit in my research, and this is kind of delving into the back end of how I made my podcast, because I think that's also important to the story that we're going to give tonight. Also, real quick, hey Anthony, how's it going, brother?
Yeah.
He's one of my podcasters.
Yeah. Yes,
Mhm.
I am and always will be Rito in most people's minds at this point.
You are. So I use Google
I
Trans.
will confess, mild tangent. There are times I feel a little sorry for Mr. Bob Pappenbrook because I'm like, I feel like I've completely supplanted him in some people's minds. But
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So the way I do my research that I've been using for the last couple of weeks now has been Google Translate, and I will then take another run of the Japanese text through ChatGPT and through a couple of other translators online. So at the end of the day, I have at least 3 different sources of a translation, which I'm using because I've learned Google Translate does not give the most accurate, but if you take 3 of them, you can piece together enough of the story to really get the nuance of the wording. And wording is very important, Nathan.
Mhm.
Especially when you're dealing with people as scummy, in my opinion, as the Bunsen publication.
Which is a tabloid in
Correct.
Japan.
Correct. It's one
Basically,
of
not just any tabloid, the equivalent of what we Americans would call a grocery store tabloid. You're standing in line getting your groceries, and there's like the Sun, or I'm trying to think of another really good example. But yeah,
we called it the National Enquirer on Tokyo Secrets last
National
week.
Enquirer. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one that
Yeah.
you'll know about. You know, these things that get published every week. It's on newspaper print. You know, it's got sensational headlines and like covers, and most of it's probably not true. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I can share screens if you want, and I can kind
yeah,
of
go
walk,
for it.
but I'm not going to read through the entire article again because that's a lot of reading.
No,
I'll just kind of
yeah, that's
summarize
a lot of
time we're in.
reading, and you know we've got a couple of related topics to get to tonight as well. But I
It's
do
so
think, but you know, speaking as an English teacher, show your sources. That's very
yeah.
important.
Okay. So I got the screen down there if you want to pull it up.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the publication Bunsen. Now, to give the proper context, this article was published on September 10th, 2025, and is the first of 2 articles by this editorial. And so this online editorial is a reprint of what they call the Weekly Bunsen editorial, which I believe, if I understand correctly, and if anyone in Japan can correct me on this, I would love it. I believe that's the physical publication, while this is the digital online version. So, just to kind of talk through it, the premise where this all really began in the fandom is an article came out on this article right here that Goes User Red's suit actor, not the actor himself, not the guy who is the civilian form of Hoero, but the suit actor. And that's very important because in the beginning, a lot of people were thinking this had to do with Hoero's actor when it didn't. So they announced that Goes User Red is leaving the show due to an affair with the Black within the Sentai. This is a poor translation by Google, but basically they're just saying Goes User Red is leaving the show due to an affair with Maya's character, Siminu. So that's the headline. Now, as you go through this article, which I'm not going to read it all. If you want to hear me read it, you can listen to our podcast. But the premise of it is Goes User Red was leaving the Goes User team and the cast due to health conditions. And these health conditions were kind of nebulous at the time. I've done some digging, so I kind of know what he had. But being a tabloid, they're like, but wait, there's more. And they talk about how he had an illicit relationship or a infidelity, however you want to phrase it.
I was going to say, because this guy's married and he's in his early 40s.
He's 41 years old. He has a wife, and I believe at least one kid, if not more kids. But I think it's only one kid. So they're alleging that he had an affair with Maya. And this article is very poorly written. And I'm not saying that because of the translation. I'm saying that because of the content. They don't really cite any sources beyond, oh, this person that's remaining anonymous said this. Oh, that person said that. A person close to the scene has said this. So there's nothing in here super concrete. And the thing that really bugged me, and it bugged my team when we were reading through the article, is their usage of the motif. I think the motif is the right word here. You can correct me, you're the English man. For wolf.
Yeah.
So the article's full of like, oh, he's on the prowl, he's hunting his prey in relation to Maya.
A lot of wolf metaphors, which...
There we go, that's the word.
Yeah, wolf metaphors. I'm sure whoever wrote this thought they were being clever, but it's one of those things where it's like, this is kind of in poor taste and you ran it into the ground.
Yeah, so like over here it says, it is not clear whether Asai said Go's user Wolf's catchphrase, "You are my prey," but he began attacking Imamori shortly after the show began in February of this year.
It's such a bad joke.
It's a really poor taste way to like refer to it. Like, okay, if they're, let's just say for a second, taking a step back, let's say Maya and Asai did have an illicit relationship, and they did do these things, and they want to report on that. Okay, cool. But demeaning these two people with the wolf metaphors and likening everything to the wolf is just in really poor taste. Like even down here. However, their relationship did not last long as another man showed a keen sense of smell similar to wolf. Now, when they say man over here, actually, Nathan, they're talking about woman. Because the next line says it was Asai's wife who caught them in the act, and she was pissed off that this happened. So that's the long and the short of this article from the Bunsen. The big thing here that is worth noting that I brought up on our podcast as well is down here where it says they're in an interview somewhere, and they ask him, "Did you have an affair?" And he whispers back, "No." Now, Google translates usage of whispering here is not my favorite, to be honest with you, because other translations give more detailed description where they say something like, "Oh, he quietly said this," or he in hushed tones said this, depending on who you're translating with. But the way they have whispering and the parentheses here, it cheapens what he was trying to get to, I think. But he is denying in this article that he didn't have any illicit relationship with Maya, which I think is important.
Now, to make sure everybody understands the timeline here, was it this piece or Bunsen that got the rumors started, or were the rumors of this affair already circulating? Because if I understand the timeline correctly, this was the first domino that got knocked over.
Yeah, so this is the first domino. To give you the light history, I'm not going to go on the Instagram post, but Asai, the suit actor, he went off in January and made 2 Instagram posts. Right. One on the 26th of January and one on the 27th of January. The first one was deleted, but it basically said, "Hey, I'm going to leave suit acting with this talent agency, but I'm going to stay on for the remainder of the year as the Go's User Wolf suit actor, and you'll definitely see me at the live." But then that post was deleted, and then he reposted again a day later. But this time he's saying, "Apologies for the post from the day previous. I did not have permission yet to announce my plans, but yes, I am leaving." And So he announced this in January, that he was going to leave the show. But then he didn't say he was leaving for medical reasons or chronic illness or whatever. He didn't give a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So then on September 1st, a lot of news articles came out with this, and they were commenting that, hey, he's leaving early. Well, they didn't say he's leaving early, but they said he's leaving the show due to chronic illness. So, okay, the guy is sick. He has a problem. That's fine. He can leave. But then 9 days later, this tabloid comes out with, hey, he left, and we want to say that he had an affair with this young girl, which has no backing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the first one. So all of these rumors start circulating. I think I've heard it was happening primarily over the summer. I remember somebody in my Power Rangers Legacy Facebook group was bringing this up. A guy named Dustin, who runs a couple of his own podcasts. I think one is like Tales from the Morphing Grid, just to give him a little bit of endorsement here. I tried to get him on this, but he lives in Japan and timing would have been incredibly wonky. But he runs Tales from the Morphing Grid, and was it? Oh, dang it. It's something Scrolls in Sakura.
Okay, because I've been talking to him over the last couple of days about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he was
he also did an episode on this, and he's been posting updates in one of our group chats for the group, and he was mentioning that there were rumors about this circulating over the summer before it blew up, and I'm just like, okay, but that might have been a little bit because I'm approaching this like an American, where I'm like, oh no, celebrity gossip and somebody's cheating on somebody. I'm like, I don't really care, not realizing that that's handled incredibly differently in Japan. So that's on me for being that ignorant.
Yeah, I was given a lot of context at Ranger Stop Orlando on Japanese culture from various people that I met there. So I have a bit more of an understanding of the culture now and where he's coming from. Because I have had a talk with Dustin in your group channel now, and I tend to agree with his takes on some of what he says based on my understanding of how Japanese culture is today.
Yeah, I will admit it. Yeah. Without actually visiting Japan, I feel like just when I understand Japan pretty well, I learned something new, which is kind of fun, but a little nerve-wracking at the same time.
Right. But yeah, no, I hadn't found, because I went on a deep dive of Reddit and Twitter looking for any mention of the affair prior to the article, and I hadn't seen any kind of whispering or anything in the Japanese Twitterverse from what I could find.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that I'm not good at searching Twitter in Japanese.
That's the possibility. Now, and I don't know if this is a good place to bring this up. I will admit that one possibility that I was thinking of, because I have a bit of an understanding about how sensationalist publications like these tabloids could work. Like I said, Imamori was popular, but she also had a small but vocal group of haters who didn't appreciate the fact that she was half Filipino. Japan is a very homogenous culture, very homogenous country. So that it doesn't always, but it can manifest in basically, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, racism at points. I was wondering if this tabloid was saying like, well, we know that there are people who don't like her because she's half Filipino. So why don't we come up with this story to get those people who are already riled up more, and then see if we can get other people riled up.
If you go through the article, and let me go find it again real quick. Okay, so the only mention across two articles, and I know we haven't gotten to the second article yet, but the only mention of her heritage is right here in this one line. And it's a very factual line, right? Like, she's originally from Miyazaki Prefecture. She's half Japanese, half Filipino. there's no spin. There's no, oh, them Filipinos, they suck.
Mhm.
There's none of that negative connotation here. So I don't buy into the Filipino thing. And I have spoken to several people from Japan at this point, um, friends of mine who are in Japan today,
Mhm.
people who have traveled and spent a lot of time in Japan on like a study abroad, or what do they call that thing? The jet teaching thing or something?
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. So I've talked to some people about it, and a lot of them come back with, okay, yeah, there's definitely a bias against people who are not full Japanese, but it's not as extreme as these rumors are making it out to be. And if, okay, let's just say if this tabloid is focused in on her because she's half Filipino, then wouldn't you agree, as a person who's really big into writing, that you would pepper the language of this article with more derogatory stuff about her heritage?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So I don't, yeah,
I'm not necessarily saying that their goal was to exploit that and connect these two rumors. I'm wondering, I'm just saying that maybe they were aware of this and they thought, well, if the people already don't like her, and then was like, oh, she's on a kid show and she did this illicit thing, we can tap into that.
yeah. Now I know, and I think I'm assuming here. I don't know if I noticed for certain about you, Nate, but my assumption walking into this podcast is you have not seen any Sentai beyond anything that's been released legally in America.
I've seen a little bit that hasn't, but yeah.
Okay, so you haven't seen things like Kazakuga Sentai Go Kaiser, for example.
No.
Okay, so the pink in that season, her name is Koike Yui. I just met her again for the second time this past weekend in Orlando. She is also half Japanese, half Filipino.
Mm-hmm. I heard
And
about
her,
this. Yeah.
well, it was in our podcast
Mm-hmm.
last week as well. But she is half Filipino. She just revealed it a couple of months ago at a con in, maybe it was in the Philippines. Honestly, I know it's somewhere not in America. And she's had a pretty good career, and she's still working. She's still doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would be the motivation to attack one if you're not going to do both from the
Oh,
same
for sure.
franchise?
Oh, for sure.
So,
That's why honestly, because I've been seeing a lot of people. I've seen a few YouTubers who are trying to really latch on to this or sexism, and I, and there's a lot of people from what I've been seeing in these videos, people posting on socials trying to make it all about this. And while I do think, from what I understand of Japanese culture, it's understandable that someone could come to conclusions like that, but in this case I have my doubts that racism and or sexism had anything really to do with this.
I don't think it did. I think this has something deeper. I haven't figured out what. I have a couple of ideas of what it could be. I think it could be something more personal, like maybe some person at the editorial Bunsen had it out for her in some other way, possibly,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe she had crossed a line with somebody and it pissed him off, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
So
basically.
the way they write these articles, like not allegory. I'm learning English terminology tonight
Metaphor.
again. Metaphors. These metaphors, like the "you are my prey" and the scent and all these other things that are in the article. These are things that are meant to kind of dehumanize
Mm-hmm.
her, but they're not dehumanizing her for being Filipino. They're just dehumanizing her as a
Mm-hmm.
human.
Yeah,
So
I have also, Riz, I've also heard some people, and this is something I don't see quite as much, so I don't think it had quite the legs that the racism and sexism did. Some people have also tried to throw this suit actor under the bus by trying to say he was quote unquote grooming her.
I have heard that, and it is potentially possible that he was grooming her. Um, I just don't have anything to back it up with.
Yeah, that's the thing. There isn't enough evidence to convince me of that. So I don't put a lot of stock in that either.
And see, my approach to the entire thing on camera, on microphone, when I'm doing a podcast like this, I want to stick to the facts. I want to stick to the things that we can prove, where I can point to a first source or a secondary source with backing from a first source that prove without a doubt that this event happened the way that we think it happened from an official statement. Because when we get to another topic in your podcast tonight, whoo boy, Nate, I have some words. That might be where I need your rant master button, honestly.
Yeah. So we had those, kind of warring fandoms over her. We had these rumors circulating, but that's not what blew everything up.
No.
What blew it up? I think we can move on to that chapter of this ridiculous saga.
There is a second article in the middle that's not as often talked about, but it's a bit important. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time harping on it. But what I will do is just mention
the boyfriend.
Right.
The boyfriend.
So this gentleman here, his name is Mitsikawa. He is a soccer player in the under 20 division or something. I'm paraphrasing because I'm not going to go digging through the article to find the title again. But they allege in the second article posted a week later on September 17th that he was the boyfriend of Maya all throughout the affair that she had with Asai.
The alleged.
They've been dating.
Alleged.
Right, the alleged affair. Because they had been dating for a lot longer than that alleged affair had been going on for. So they were trying to paint Maya as, one, being party to an infidelity, but two, also being party to cheating on her own partner. And, again, the same type of idea. There's no first or secondary sources. It's all hearsay or people close to the source or whatever. There's nothing here confirming the allegations. However, I scrolled here, Nate, for a reason, which is the same reason I did the same on our own podcast. And that's to bring to light this section of the article. And I'll read it briefly and we can talk about it and we can move on to the bigger part of the Maya Gate.
Yeah.
So Imamori's agency stated that they were confirming the facts regarding the affair. But when asked about his two-timing relationship with Mitsikawa, again, when you see his, that's really her. Japanese pronouns are apparently weird. I don't understand it, but anyway.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion, but yeah.
Yeah. About his two-timing relationship with Mitsikawa, she responded primarily as follows. After confirming the facts with all parties involved, we have found that they are not currently in a relationship, nor have they ever been seen cheating on each other in the past. This is a statement allegedly from Seizu, the agency company that Maya was a part of until recently. And they're saying that they've talked with all parties. Now, this means they've talked to Asai, they've talked to the soccer player, and they've talked to Amaya. And they've confirmed the fact that all parties were not seen cheating on each other. So that tells me that Bunsen itself is confirming that there's no scandal here. There's no affair. There's no wrongdoing. Because the agency allegedly told them, hey, nothing happened here. What are you talking about? So that, to me, debunks a lot. And it's interesting it comes out of their own. And I had to go through a couple of translators to make sure I didn't miss any context. And I didn't see any context missing. But again, if anyone in Japan is watching this and they want to give better context to the article, DM me on Discord or contact me on Insta or something. We can talk and I can, post something else about it later.
Yeah, for sure.
So moving on from that, I'll give the screen back to you for this because I don't
Okay.
have any like articles I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have anything either. I mean, I could go digging for some, but I don't
I mean,
know how good they would be.
I do have something actually I could post.
Okay. But no, but to move ahead to the next chapter, and this was, it wasn't just a bombshell, and pardon the potentially insensitive metaphor here, but this was practically a nuke.
Yes. So this is a screenshot of Maya Imamori's own Instagram. And shout out to Aka Eagle and myself for reposting it. Just want to get that out of the way because it's funny that we have that little history in there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a statement from Maya Imamori where she states on, I believe this is November 8th. I don't have a date on this one, but she states, I would like to sincerely apologize for the inconvenience and concern caused to many of you due to my indignant behavior. Again,
and when was this post? When was this posted?
Early November. I want to say around the 7th or 8th, but I have to go check my my notebook. So,
but basically within the last few weeks.
Right. This is recent. This is right before episode 37 came out on Toei 2 weeks ago. So we're looking about something 2 weeks old at this point. So drinking while being a minor is a very shameful act as an employee and a human being. It is not acceptable for any reason. I painfully realize the gravity of my action and I'm deeply reflecting on it. Once again, I apologize to all my fans and associates who have supported me so far and to all my performers and co-actors for the inconvenience caused. Throughout the case, I would reflect on myself as immature, accept the fact that I betrayed my trust, and sincerely reflect on my lifestyle. So I don't allow this to happen again. I am very sorry for this. Sorry, my microphone is in the way at the bottom of my screen.
That's fine. We'll do it live anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a statement from her, and I'll be honest, Nate. When this first came out, I was a little blindsided because we've been hearing about the allegations about the cheating and the scandal and the affair and all that stuff. So this came out of left field for me to say, oh, hey, we're getting rid of her finally after so many months of dragging her for something unrelated to the allegations that were being publicized before.
Yeah.
For
although this is the part even more so than the affair rumors where things are getting swirled together, and I have heard several different stories about what's going on here. This admittedly is the part of the story that I haven't been able to 100% piece together, and I'm hoping our discussion tonight can help shed some light on that, not only for me, but for the audience as well. So this comes out, and then the story breaks that Maya, who is 19 years old, was engaging in underage drinking. The legal drinking age in Japan is 20.
Yep.
Now, I do want to say something here that might be a bit of a hot take for some people, but it doesn't matter. If you're commenting on this, it doesn't matter what the legal drinking age is in your particular country. Your laws don't apply. Right. The laws in Japan apply. The laws in Japan says it's 20. All right. So I know some people say, like, well, she's going to be 20 in a couple of months. I'm like, again, it
doesn't matter.
Right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So this comes out. And the reason why this is such a major sticking point, because I have a feeling if this was in America, where some young popular actor, 20 years old, couple of months short of a 21st birthday, gets caught drinking underage, I don't think most people are going to flip out all that much about it. But the reason why it's a big deal in this context brings us to who I am going to argue is, if there's a villain in this saga, it's this is the villain, and that's Seiju, her talent agency.
Yeah. Hang on. There we go. This is the Seiju. I'm not going to read through it, but this is their notice of termination of the management contract. And they just alleged that she was drinking under age of 20. However, things that I mentioned in our podcast and things I've seen since then have all indicated to me that it's a very unclear allegation.
Mm-hmm.
Was this a case of Maya at some cast party having a sip of beer from her fellow castmates? Or was this Maya bar hopping, having the time of her life, going nuts in the streets, as the kids would say?
Yeah. Like I said, the part of this, as I've heard several different stories, and I'll mention them briefly, but the reason why we're bringing this up is one of the things that, and this isn't just a Seiju practice, from what I understand, this is something most, and I could be wrong about this, but from what I understand, this is extremely common with Japanese talent agencies, especially with their young talent, is they put clauses in the contracts where they have to abide by certain rules that aren't unreasonable, but they're a little bit surprising. I went to, just to kind of give a little bit of an American equivalent, when I went to for my undergrad, I went to a private Christian university, and one of the things that you basically signed like this little contract that had these stipulations in it that a lot of us just kind of made fun of, because they're like, really, guys? And one of them said that even if you were over 21, this university was a dry campus. You're not supposed to drink on campus.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. And if you broke that, you risk getting kicked out of school. All right. That's just one example. So they have their talent, adhere to certain rules. And if they break contract, there are extremely dire consequences, not only for the talent, but for the studios that they work with, as we'll start unpacking here. And one of the things that Seiju had in its contract is that if you break the law, you break the contract.
Now, see, here's where it gets interesting for me. And I'm going to approach this as the ignorant American that I am, right? I am not Japanese. I have never been to Japan. My only understanding of Japanese culture comes from years and years of watching anime, tokusatsu, and dreaming of being in Japan to visit it, right? Mm-hmm. So my ignorant take is, for a company like Seiju to indicate that they want to fire her for underage drinking means it must have been something public. It must have been something that caused a scene. Because the one thing I know about Japanese culture is image above everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Japan is a very shame-based culture.
Yes.
So if you do something to shame yourself, you are also potentially bringing shame upon anybody associated with you, whether that be your employer, your family, whoever that might be.
Yeah. So with that said, my assumption is if Maya did something, it would be something on a bigger scale than a sip at a party. Mm-hmm. So part of the research I did for the first podcast was asking somebody over in Japan to check the public police records and arrest records and all that stuff to see if Maya's name ever popped up for anything. And guess what, Nate? It never did.
That is insane, because like I said, I've heard several different stories about what happened with this. The first one I heard was that, because like many people her age, she loves things like social media, TikTok, and supposedly there was a beer can in the background of one of her videos. But as you pointed out in your episode, screenshots of that video, let alone the video itself, has not surfaced. So where
Right.
is that? We live in a day and age where everybody is saving and screenshotting everything. How could something like this, especially with as rabid a fan base as she has, where is that? So that hasn't
Right.
been produced. Then I heard that different stories had different contexts for this. Others said that she was at a party with friends and had a sip of champagne. You know, I've heard cast party. I've heard it was like a friend's birthday party or whatever,
Yeah.
and she had a sip of champagne. And I haven't that.
But see, if it's something that private, if it's a birthday party at a friend's house, if it's a cast party, that's a private event.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, while Seizu has a contract, right? Like they have a crazy contract by our standards on Maya.
Mm-hmm.
Would they really risk executing the contract's clause about the underage drinking for a private event where she didn't go wild and go loose?
Mm-hmm.
The only way that this would make sense to me with the Japanese image the way it is she did something big while under the influence of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, I have not found evidence after digging and having people dig for me that there's no court record, there's no police record, there's no arrest record, there's nothing indicating that she did something.
Mm-hmm.
So
now the related oh wait, sorry, we have something else.
No, that was it. I want to hear what you got to say. I'm curious.
Well, I was going to say the next thing, and this relates to another clause in the contract, but also could be related to this particular one. And this one, I've seen people treat this as more legitimate, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. I've also heard people say that she got a part-time job as a hostess. And now in Japan, the law says you can do that if you're at least 18, but at most of the, I'm trying to remember what it's like a lounge. But if you're if you're a hostess at a lounge, and this just seems like an awkward position to put people in, but you can start working there when you're 18, but you can't drink until you're 20. And if you're working at a lounge, you're probably going to be serving alcohol.
Yeah.
This is why I say what you want about American laws. I think they just say you have to be at least 21 to do this job, period. So they don't have to deal with this nonsense. But supposedly she took a part-time job for that, which goes against the contract. And I think I can understand why they have that in there.
Yeah.
I think it's also an image management thing, and they don't want their talent splitting their time and energy and things like that. They want them to be focused on the work at hand, making the show. I've also heard people say she didn't start doing this until Gojuger had finished filming.
So let's unpack that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to start off by saying I have read the original article that you're referencing about the lounge. It's a very big topic in our next podcast where we kind of go through it and explain it and go through all the details. But at the high level, Maya was working for the bar, allegedly, or lounge, whatever you want to call it. And
lounge is the polite way to put it.
Right. I'm not a polite person. But with that said, the article goes into detail that, okay, the actors and actresses that end up in this position are oftentimes the ones that are underpaid and under represented.
Mm-hmm.
Which, Nate, you and I have both been covering this stuff for years. So I'm going to ask you, what does that sound like to you, that you're an actor working in a tokusatsu franchise, but you're not making money and you got to find a way to make ends meet?
Do I dare say slave labor?
Saban in the early days.
Yeah, it sounds like that too. Yeah.
So
that is an interesting parallel. Yeah, I would argue that the actors working for Saban in those early seasons of Power Rangers may have had it worse, because I heard like the pay was just I think who was it? Austin St. John, I think, said that like I could make more money working at McDonald's.
McDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I will say, and I have not yet gone through my deep dive into the research on this because it's a topic for another podcast much down the line, maybe like in a couple of weeks from now. But what I've been learning over the last couple of days is our toku actors that we all love, like, they don't make a lot of money doing this work. It's a stepping stone for them. So we don't know Maya's financial situation. We don't know her family life. We don't know a lot of things. So if these rumors are correct, and if what I've read anecdotally so far is correct, some actors in the past have been known to quote unquote live off of water and water alone while filming their Sentai season because they didn't have enough money to eat. So if that's the case, and Maya's situation was dire, her family wasn't really supporting her, and Seiji wasn't taking care of her, and these lounges make a ton of money. Like, she can work 2 hours and make enough money to be good for a couple of days. So it's a low amount of work for a high yield.
Because keep in mind, with a place like this, because I saw a video actually while I was having dinner tonight talking about this. Something to keep in mind is that establishments like this, and this is true in America as well, are often, shall we say, places of ill repute. You know, things go on there that are much more serious than simply serving drinks to some dudes who are there hanging out after a long day at work or whatever. That isn't to say that Maya was engaging in that. That is just potentially what can happen there. There's stories about, I've heard that even in Japan, there are stories about girls who go there, work at these lounges, and then they end up being escorts, whatever that ends up looking like.
It's something I've also seen a lot of lately, doing the research I've done so far. But there's no indication that this is what happened here. Right. And mind you, once again, the source of the article, I'm not sure if you're aware of this yet, the source of this article where the lounge came up originally is, I believe, one tier below Bunsen on the tabloid scale.
Ooh, that's bad.
So, to put that in better context and wording, one level below means they're worse. They're not as reputable. Because when talking to some people, I have a Discord friend that told me that some people consider Bunsen to be a bit more reputable of the tabloids in Japan because they throw a lot of darts, but some of these darts do hit. Whereas with
what's the line is like, oh, a broken clock's right twice a day, you know?
Right. But this one, they don't have that much of a reputation apparently. And I'm still kind of researching to understand the cultural impact of the Bunsen publication versus this. Oh my god, I'm going to butcher the name. I'm not going to try to say it honestly. I don't want to butcher it. Yeah, these two publications are not well known, and I do want to understand the cultural impact and societal impact of how many people really trust and read these things and fall for the stuff in it. Or is it like us in America, we're like, oh, National Enquirer, that's not a real thing, but we'll read it for the meme.
Yeah, basically.
So I'm curious on how they look at it in Japan. And that's part of the research I'm still conducting right now, is to understand more of that.
Yeah, but it would make sense that, you know, a young pretty girl like Maya could go to a place like this. She can make a ton of money in a short amount of time and not have to do anything illicit.
Right.
We all know how this works. The pretty waitresses typically make a little bit more tip money. It's just a fact of life. Love it or hate it, it's a fact of life. So there was that. And so people were connecting that, which is another violation of her contract, with her possibly consuming alcohol. But again, there just doesn't seem to be enough enough substantial evidence to back any of this up. And when you take into a consideration that it's coming from low-grade tabloids, which, I mean, say what you want about actual journalism, but tabloids are below even that.
Right.
Okay.
Especially
People
in this
don't
country.
take them. People don't take them seriously, and the ones who do need help.
Yeah.
So all of that is swirling. So long story short, all this comes out. Her contract is broken, and she is effectively fired from the show because, and this is not exactly the right way to put it, but this is like the sensationalist way of putting it. Seiju owns her, or more properly, they own her image.
Yes.
Her likeness and her image. And the contract that Toei, now we're getting to the studio, and here's possibly my first hot take of the night. I don't think Toei bears any fault in what has been happening.
Well, if you listen to the Tokyo Secrets podcast, I actually went as far as to say Toei is a victim in all this as well.
Yeah. So the contract they signed says that they have to abide by what Seiju says, and Seiju says we own their likeness. And again, long story short, Maya, by breaking the contract, it makes it so that Toei cannot legally use Maya's likeness in anything. Now, they can still use her Ranger design because they own that. And for what I understand, weirdly enough, the Maya Imamori merchandise they can sell is stuff that's more caricatured, like chibi versions of her character.
That I would believe, based on what I've read so far,
because it's not her actual likeness.
But I will say, I've read an account, Twitter, Reddit, and started the social media network of your choice here.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody went to one of those Japanese Sentai type stores in Japan, and they went to the goods user area, found red, found blue, found green, did not find black. Anything. And this is like an official Toei store of some kind, I believe.
Well, that could be a decision that Toei made because of the association.
Well,
but
no, I mean, like,
my understanding is that legally speaking, they don't have to pull that.
No, the Ranger suit is still fair game. And
okay. I thought you were saying that. I thought you were saying it wasn't.
No.
My apologies.
No, but her anything with her face, like the helmetless photos or anything like that, those have all been removed.
Yeah, and what makes this even more insane, and this, although people are just theorizing about this, because the most immediate thing that happened because of that is the hack job of editing that apparently happened with the episode that happened right after all this broke, where they're cutting her, but they're just zooming in on the footage to keep her out of shots. They're trying to edit around her, and it's been incredibly awkward. They completely pulled an episode that would have been a focus episode for her character. Yeah. And just skipped ahead to the next episode, and people were wondering, so what is this going to mean? Because there's about 10, 12 episodes to go. Are they going to butcher all of them with the editing? Because they're done filming. They're done. Right. They've just been in post-production, for all of these. Are they going to have to butcher all of those? And, are they just going to stop the show? Like, there was all, like, in the moment when it was happening, people were freaking the heck out about it. And people were also sort of wondering, like, what's this going to mean for reruns? Are they going to have to go back and edit her out in the old episodes? Is this whole show going to turn into lost media? And they put like the first, I think about 12 or so episodes out on Blu-ray. So it's like, what are we going to do about that? Because those are still out there. Are they going to release the second volume of episodes on Blu-ray because that hasn't come out yet? Like, there's all of this uncertainty.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing about all that. Ghost User will undoubtedly have a lot of lost media attached to it going forward. There are going to be things that we're never going to see, but there are things I'm concerned about never getting in terms of things anyone watching Ghost User will need to complete their watch of the season. They have a movie that came out in the time frame of episode 28 or 29, and this movie has direct impacts on the season. And so this is filmed well before any of this Mayagate began. If that movie becomes lost media, because it's only ever been premiered in theater, it's not made a Blu-ray release. Actually, the Blu-ray release comes out on December 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that doesn't come out, then there are going to be pieces of the story that we'll never be able to know, and it'll harm our ability to understand some of the Ghost User lore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Go for it.
I was gonna say, I am concerned that they've recasted her with Oni's sister from Dawn Brothers. I don't know. That's
who's also a popular actress, and that was not on people's bingo boards.
No,
for sure.
Not at all.
People, there were a lot of people wondering, so what are they going to do in response to this? And people were wondering, are they going to kill off the character and replace her with? Because in the story of the show, she has a missing sister she's trying to find. So people were thinking, okay, maybe she'll find her. No, it's not that she's missing, or she in the hospital or something.
Her sister was missing. She found her early on, but she has no memory of her.
Okay. But basically, they were going to get rid of Sumino. That's her character's name.
Sumino.
Yeah. They were going to get rid of her, replace her with the sister, which makes a bizarre sort of, which actually makes not a bizarre sort of sense. It actually does make sense. It reminds me a little bit of what Saban had to do in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, where Valerie Vernon, who played the Pink Ranger, gets diagnosed with leukemia. She has to leave the show. And then they scrambled to come up with something to explain why the character is gone. And then they give the power set to my waifu. But the thing is, astronomer, in case anybody didn't know.
How do you not know this point?
Melody Perkins, okay? But the weird thing is, I have a feeling most people, if they didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, it seemed natural. So yeah. I think people would, I think that in terms of narrative, I think people would have accepted that. The problem is that I don't think they had the time to make that happen.
No, because, okay, so here's the thing. One thing that has been kind of circulating online is, Toei and Saitsu have known about this since September. They knew this was going to be let go. They have plenty of time, so everything's on plan right now. But if you watch 37, and let me be completely upfront and honest, I have not watched the episode myself yet. So I'm going off of other people's reactions that I trust. And these people all tell me, yeah, there's like weird zoom ins to cut her out. There's actually, in some places, there's use of AI to remove her from scenes altogether.
Yeah, it's for what I've heard, because I haven't watched the episode myself, but the overwhelming consensus has been that it's a hack job.
Yeah. And
I'm even hearing rumors, because the fact that they recasted her with a new actress, which was not what people were expecting, and they don't know if they're even going to address the fact that she looks different. They're probably just going to pretend that it's just the same character and just move on.
It'll be another.
That's not unprecedented. There's that kind of recasting has happened before, but people are wondering, it's like, are they going to go back to the old episodes and deep fake the new actress onto Imamori and have her ADR the lines?
I don't think they're going to go that far, because, and quite simply, here's why. And this might be your segue to another topic in the podcast. I don't know if you're going to take the segue fully, but I'll leave the ball in your court on how you want to proceed. Mm-hmm. But you got to think about Toei for a second here and what Toei's been going through, right? So it's a very common thing that we've seen for a couple of years now that Sentai Toyo sales are diminishing. Things are not looking hot. The franchise has been rumored to be on the chopping block for, I don't know, since Tokuger, in my opinion.
Yeah,
That's when I started seeing it.
Because that is something else to take into consideration here. Why this makes, in my opinion, Seiju so damnable at this point is because their contracts are so draconian and so stringent.
Yeah.
This is costing the studio a ton of money. I mean, I mean, arguably Toei is swimming in money because they also they produce basically all of the world's most popular anime, or at least most of it. But they're still losing a ton of money with what is happening now with Toei. Excuse me, with Gojuger, with Super Sentai. And that is not good. And that is not good for them. Like you said, the franchise has kind of been in decline. I have theorized for a while that Super Sentai probably would have gone into hiatus 20 years ago at the bare minimum, if not for the money they were raking in from Power Rangers. Power Rangers kept Super Sentai alive. I thought it was crazy for saying that. I have had people tell me, no, that is actually the case.
I don't know where I lay on that issue in terms of, do I think they kept alive because of Power Rangers? I don't think that's the case entirely. I think that's a contributing factor, but I think also if you look at it, this has been around since 1975. So it's a household name. It's a staple of Japanese media. It's part of the norm for Japan. So I could see Toei, to an extent, trying to maintain status quo with Super Sentai to keep it going out of loyalty or obligation. I like obligation better, to the consumer and to the market. But from what I understand, and I'm not an expert on this by any means of the imagination, the Japanese birth rate is in decline. So there's not as many kids out there in Japan watching Sentai. And like I said on our own podcast, hey, nobody cares about the American audience. Nobody cares about the Western audience in Japan when it comes to what Toei is going to do next. Because quite frankly, if you're watching Gojuger, you're not watching it through any approved means.
No, you're not. Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
our opinion doesn't matter. Our take on this does not matter. To Toei, it does not matter one bit. What does matter to Toei is trying to salvage the financial stresses they're feeling right now from this budget. Now, you said earlier, Nate, that they're swimming in money from the One Piece, the Dragon Ball, etc., whatever.
Yeah, Dragon Ball. I have seen stuff coming out that said, Dragon Ball has basically single-handedly sustained the Japanese economy at this point. It is bonkers what it is doing.
Their voice actor just got some kind of really prestigious recognition.
It's like a cultural award. It was like the voice actors for Goku. It's crazy. But
yeah. So, but the point is, they have a set budget for Super Sentai. If they go beyond that budget, their books are in the red. Now, they were probably within budget or close to within budget, I'm assuming, when Gojuger was completed filming and they're entering post-production. Now, going back out and having to shoot scenes to bring in Oni's sister as the new Sumino, that's going to rake up the bills quite a bit.
Yeah, not as much, I think, as trying to make these, make hack job editing choices, and you're trying to rejigger storylines to include her sister. Honestly, just recasting this character is the most financially sensible thing that I think they could do in these circumstances. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Ideally, and if I was Toei, this is the compromise, because supposedly, I think, well, I don't know if this is supposedly or not, but I'm hearing that both Toei and Seiju are trying to sue each other over this whole thing, and I don't believe Toei.
I have heard rumors about this because Toei wants to recuperate money.
Yeah. But if I was Toei, my compromise would have been, fine, she can lose her contract with you, and we might even be willing to say, fine, we won't do anything with the show, but you have to allow us to use the remaining footage we have of her just to finish out this season. And then we can talk about what to do with it after the fact. But let us finish this season.
And see, that would have made more sense in an American culture, in the American world. That would make a lot of sense. But the thing that we, as the American consumer, do not understand, and again, I'm projecting on you what I assume you think of the world, but correct me where you think I'm wrong, but I assumed prior to my research that Toei would be the one calling all the big stops here. But talking to people from overseas again, my understanding has become that Toei is actually a slave to these agencies. They rent the likeness of people like Maya, of people like Koike Yui, of people like Ryoto Ozawa, just to name a couple of Sentai actors that are prominent. But they don't own the likeness. They own the character. They can own Sumino all day long. They can own Captain Marvelous all day long, but they don't own the likeness of them. And it's unfortunate, but Maya signed a contract stating that Saizu owns the rights to my likeness, to my face, and to how that face can be used in the future. And that's the contract. So Toei is stuck in this place where they can't use her going forward, but this raises a lot of good questions on what do they do with the old footage, the old episodes, the movie, etc. How are they going to restore that? Are they going to deep fake her, like you said? Are they going to just never release the Blu-rays? I think
there's a lot of unanswered questions at this point.
Let me respond to this in your chat real quick. The last one in your chat, if you want to bring it up real quick. Maya needs to get out of contract with Seizu. I just want to be completely crystal clear here. The contract has been terminated, Mikey. I mean, it's on the screen of the podcast. There is no more contract between Maya and Seizu, but she still signed away the rights to her likeness.
I was going to say, just because the contract has been terminated, so going forward, it doesn't apply. Unfortunately, the stuff that was produced beforehand still applies.
The stuff that Toei paid Saizu to have Maya film for them, Saizu owns that likeness. So, unfortunately, Saizu, at the end of the day, yes, Maya is stuck with that problem unless there's some really amazing lawyer that can lawyer the way out of it. But I don't think it's possible.
Well, you say that, and this is where I'm going to transition to something that I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about.
Ooh, I'm excited because this is where we bring in the Super stuff, right?
Yes, I'm going to bring this up here now because because it's not unprecedented, and I think this can potentially offer at least a modicum of hope that something can be resolved here. And I want to first give a shout out. Now, this video is several years old and is very out of date now. However, I do think the historical bits from it make the video worth watching. But I can't remember the name of the video, but the name of the channel is Vintage Henshin. And he did a video, and this was back before the specific one I'm going to talk about is Ultraman Tiga. So, because when this was still exploding, and I'm like, Toei, that's why I made a little TikTok video that talked about this. Like, Toei, you need to talk to your associates at Tsuburaya. Yeah. They've dealt with this not once, but twice, and see how they had to handle things. So, a quick story here, and something I should mention. again, to give you a little bit of encouragement, we have the three big franchises in, we'll say, Henshin heroes. The Henshin hero superhero genre, if you want to call it that. We have Super Sentai, we have Ultraman, we have Kamen Rider. Two of those have taken hiatuses, and not just short hiatuses, long hiatuses. Ultraman went on hiatus in Japan for 15 years. And Kamen Rider went on, for the most part, hiatus. They were still making the occasional movie in V Cinema or whatever, but they basically went on hiatus for a little over a decade. Super Sentai's never done that. So I am not on that level. I'm not terribly worried about Super Sentai taking a hiatus. I've kind of been saying maybe Super Sentai should take a bit of a hiatus. I think it would be good for him.
I think it
I wish it was under better circumstances because of everything else going on, but it's not unreasonable. But now,
see, sorry, I just want to make sure we're not conflating the Maya situation with Super Sentai taking the break.
No. Right, that was my inner conspiracy theorist wanted to think that was the case, but actually listening to your podcast helped to really like completely debunk that for me. Right. So, but I don't think because they would have made this decision well before any of this started coming to light. So the timing doesn't match up. But
the wording you're using kind of had me worried for a second. I was like, whoa.
No, not in any way.
Okay.
At one point, I thought about that, but then after, like I said, I've been following the situation. After learning more, I was like, no, there's no way. But anyway, so speaking of the hiatus, Ultraman Tiga hit airwaves in Japan in 1996. So that ended the 15-year hiatus. It was commemorating the 30th anniversary of Ultraman. It was this massive return for the franchise, and Ultraman Tiga was incredibly popular. Here was the mistake that Tsuburaya made, and I'm going to screen share this. They used a talent agency that has become, if you think Seiju is bad and notorious, let me introduce you to Johnny and Associates. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're an Ultraman fan, you hate these people. You hate them a lot. Like I said, watch the Vintage Henshin episode because he does an incredible job of unpacking this. But long story short, they had Tsuburaya got 2 cast members for Ultraman Tiga from Johnny and Associates. One of them, I'm going to make sure I remember his name really quick, but he played Daigo, who was the star of the show. He's the Ultra host. He's the civilian form of our title hero. Okay? I want to make sure, and I'm going to get the name of the other actor as well, because one of the supporting cast members was also with Johnny and Associates. My understanding is he's no longer with them, although I don't know how many people are still with Johnny and Associates, because they're basically done. They're basically gone now. But let me see. Where's the cast section here? The Ultra Wiki's kind of weird sometimes. I should have just went with Wikipedia. We'll do it live. This is great podcasting. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So it was Hiroshi Nagano. Okay.
Is your screen supposed to be moving right now?
No, I'm looking at a different page. Yeah, okay, and I'm trying to remember the name of the other. Trying to remember the name of the other actor who was with them. Was a younger fella. He was like their tech expert. I think is it him? I could be wrong. Anyway, the main one that we need to talk about is Mr. Nagano. He's a multi-talented guy. He's not just an actor. He's also a singer and a musician. He was in a band called V6, which also did the theme song. The iconic theme song, I might add, for Ultraman Tiga. It's called Take Me Higher. And Johnny's and Associates, from what I understand, they pride themselves on having the best talent, especially at this point. They had the best talent in Japan. people who are multi-talented, can do a bunch of different things. They're also run by tyrannical old men who are out of touch. And they still think things operate the way they did in, say, the 60s or something like that. So a similar thing basically happened here. They said that if you use any stuff with our talent, you basically have to keep paying us. So the show, here's the thing. The show aired, was super popular. That all went fine. And then my understanding is Johnny's and Associates started demanding money for reruns. And then it got even more complicated once we got to the era of streaming, because they're like, you got to pay us for that too. But they didn't understand how things worked anymore. And it got to the point where Subaraya, as popular as this show was, and again, I'm doing a long story short here, they couldn't show anything with Nagano in it. He even appeared as his character, as Daigo, in the 2-part finale for the following Ultra series, because it was a sequel called Ultraman Dyna. Yeah. They couldn't even show those last 2 episodes. For a while, if you had tried to, because Subaraya has its own streaming service, because they have that much material, their own streaming service in Japan called Subaraya Imagination. You couldn't watch Ultraman Tiga or anything associated with it. You couldn't watch the last 2 episodes of Dyna.
So
if people really started becoming aware of this, because they did this weekly kind of like recap show to get people ready for Ultraman Trigger, which was a remake of Ultraman Tiga.
Mm-hmm.
So it was primarily a clip show of Ultraman Tiga episodes. People noticed that they were always editing around Nagano, but they would show everybody else in the cast, and they can show Ultraman Tiga because Subaraya owns that character.
Right.
That's not a problem. And that's when Vintage Henshin made his little video talking about this, and I became aware of it.
So did they ever air the last 2 episodes in that run, or did they just never?
Oh, they did. That's okay. The thing. Johnny's and Associates didn't give them any grief when they first aired the episodes. They gave them grief about international distribution and reruns.
So it's a distribution deal that was not correct or not good.
Huh?
So it's a distribution deal that was not good. Like the distribution clauses were not.
It's distribution and reruns specifically.
But doesn't it also fall under distribution?
What?
Doesn't the reruns also fall under distribution?
I suppose so. I haven't watched the video in a long time. One of the reasons that I've been interested in this and in this related Sentai story is that I am going to be doing research on this for an episode of the Monster Island Film Vault, because I will be covering the Ultraman Tiga movie, which is called The Final Odyssey. And that has not been officially released in the States because of Johnny's.
So how did you get a copy of it?
I have ways.
Okay.
I have ways, and people have and people have posted it on YouTube.
Okay, that's fair.
So you can't watch it on YouTube. But here's the thing. To get around this, I mentioned the clip show, but Subaraya, because like I said, Tiga is a super popular show. So to get around some of the things, because not only where's their hangups with the likeness of Mr. Nagano, but also he was in V6, who did the theme song, and sometimes the theme song was used as an insert in the show, and they couldn't use that either. And that's why you can't get legally The Final Odyssey. It's because of the V6 music. And I'm guessing because it's a movie, so the deal is a little bit different. Because they did get the show over here, but the show that Mill Creek released, the version of the show that Mill Creek released, is the edited version that has a new theme song on all but 2 episodes. I don't know why there are 2 episodes that don't have the new theme song that they had to make. I like to think that it was Subaraya's little way of kind of getting back at Johnny's a little bit. They're just like, yeah, here you go, Mill Creek. Don't tell Johnny's, you know. I also like
the other Nate.
Yeah. Riz and other Nate. Yeah. Hey man. Yeah. And what's also funny is there's a movie called Superior 8 Ultramen. Ultra Brothers, excuse me. Superior 8 Ultra Brothers. That's a massive crossover with 8 different Ultramen, including Ultraman Tiga. And Mr. Nagano was in it, and they released that movie no problem. Again, I don't know if the deal is just different, or my version of it is that, again, Super Raya went over to Mill Creek and kind of slipped it under the table and said, "Don't tell Johnny's." That's my funny way of thinking about it.
I mean, yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I do. I have no idea. That's just my funny little story. So all of this is going on. They have to edit around it. They have to make new music just so they can release it because they're trying to get around these hangups. Well, one of the things that makes it a little bit easier when it comes to, and this might be where, and this is where the parallels with Seiju kind of fall apart a little bit, is one of the reasons that Tsuburaya has been able to work things out. So now they are showing Ultraman Tiga on Tsuburaya Imagination. They're showing the movie Final Odyssey on Tsuburaya Imagination, which gives me hope that they'll give that to, well, it's Alliance Entertainment now, and they can do a solo Blu-ray release of the movie.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that's my hope anyway. I have no idea. But as you'll see here in this little article, Johnny's kind of doesn't exist anymore. Because in 2019, where is it? Is it 2019? No, actually, It was more recent than that. It was 2023. In 2023, their CEO basically got Me Too'd.
Interesting.
Yep. And because of that, they ended up getting broken up into 2 separate entities. Hilariously,
Smile Up.
One of them here is called Smile Up. And it says, according to Wikipedia here, it's a firm that focuses on reparations for Kitagawa's sexual abuse cases. Kitagawa's the guy in charge. They had to make, so when they broke the company up, and one company is dedicated just to handling the fallout from this guy, if I'm understanding that correctly, which is just funny. And then the other part is another talent agency called Stardo Entertainment. So I think that's probably what has helped Tsuburaya, is the fact that Johnny's, as they knew it, doesn't really exist anymore.
So you're saying the path forward to have Seiju get dismantled or split into 2 or something?
That's one possibility. Like I said, this is the part where it breaks down. But I'm just saying they've dealt with this issue. And to be honest, again, some of the circumstances and details are different, but I would like to hope that Toei can make a similar arrangement of some kind with Seiju to deal with this. The other thing, and this is a little less relevant because they've announced what they're doing going forward with the recasting, but something else I wanted to, I said, like, you guys could learn something here. This is why I say, like, this has happened to Tsuburaya twice. And that is, they had an actor in another Ultra series in the early 2000s that was also very popular. It was called Ultraman Cosmos. And their lead actor, Taiyo Sugiura, who was the face actor for the title Hero. Oh, sorry, clicked the wrong thing. He got arrested.
Oh.
And long story short, he was arrested on charges of extortion and assault, as you're seeing here. So he had to go to court for a while. That affected the show in 2 ways. Tsuburaya took it off the air, and for a couple of weeks, my understanding, they aired just clip shows that didn't feature Mr. Sugiura. And then they aired an Ultra series that was pretty short. It's only like 12, 13 episodes. It was just, they had it in the can. They weren't doing anything with it because they had produced it, but it never aired. So like, okay, we'll just put this in the time slot. Just let that go for a while. It takes about a month. The charges against Mr. Sugiura get dropped. They put the show back on the air. This also, interestingly, affected one of the movies for Ultraman Cosmos. Because Ultraman Cosmos, it's 65 episodes. It holds the record for the longest Ultra series, and it has 3 movies. 3. Most Ultra series get 1 movie if they're lucky. This one had 3. They made an entire alternate cut of the second movie. Now, I tried to figure out the timing of everything, and for what I can tell, all of this stuff was resolved before the second movie was released, but I'm guessing that alternate cut of the movie in some form or another got released because people have said that they've seen it. And I think I found a Japanese DVD with it, but Tsuburaya doesn't even bother with that. They just go with the original cut of the movie that still has Sugiura in it. Because and the way they got around it is kind of recasting, because they had a kid actor who played Sugiura's character as a child, and they just recut the second movie, where they took out Sugiura and just replaced him with his character's child self. It's called the Young Musashi chapter.
That's an interesting way to handle that.
Yeah. And it actually makes sense, because the first Cosmos movie, which is basically the premiere of the show, is actually a prequel and shows young Musashi meeting Ultraman Cosmos when he's a kid. And then you watch the show, he's an adult now, and then he bonds with Cosmos and becomes a superhero. So it actually made some sort of sense. But like I said, as far as I know, that version of the movie is just rarely seen. It's not really been released. Funny enough, from what I heard, they took a lot of that new footage that they filmed and they put it in the third Ultraman Cosmos movie. I don't know if they used all of it, but I've heard they used a lot of it. So that was how they handled things. Again, different circumstances. But I would have said, like, again, Toei, you might want to consult them to find out what to do here.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that could help, but like you said, the circumstances don't line up enough for me to have confidence that this would be the way forward for them. But certainly, they could maybe get inspiration and maybe implode Sideshow somehow.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's what I would like to see. Here's where I'm going to come out, and this may be where some of the hot takes on this particular subject are going to be.
Okay.
As I said, if there's a villain in this story, because I've seen people on kind of like on both sides of the equation, and I think everybody is missing. Not everybody. I think most people are missing certain things because they're very dedicated to one side or the other. The people who say, like, it's Imamori's fault. She broke the contract, blah, blah, blah. And other people are like, it's Toei's fault, or, it's all Seiju's fault. And I will say, if there's a villain in this saga, it's Seiju. Yeah. Seiju is what is, in terms of what it's doing to Gojuger and possibly to Sentai as a franchise, it's on them. They're the ones who are stringently enforcing their contract and putting Toei in a very bad position. That they have to do all of this. Now, yes?
I'll give you a hot take in response to your hot take here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Saizu is the villain, right? Like, 100%. We'll never say they're not the villain. However, if you take out the past and you take out the fandom, you take out, our love for Tokusatsu, Saizu is making good business sense, maybe. Because they are following the contract to a T. However, on the flip side of that, to counter my hot take, because I do that sometimes, if this is a different talent agency, like a more established one that's been around for 20 years or something like that, they have a leg to stand on to do stuff like this. But I'm not sure if you're aware, or if we said it in the podcast. I gotta go back and look now. But Saitsu was only formed in 2023.
It's recent. I almost it's funny because Johnny's and Associates as it went under in 2023. It's almost like Seiju just came in and filled that vacuum.
Okay, so here's the conspiracy theory of the night.
There's the legitimate conspiracy theory.
Johnny rebranded to become Saitsu to continue causing drama for our Tokusatsu fandom, damn it.
I think we've cracked the case, sir.
Is that that's not a dragon dagger for you, right?
No.
Okay, good. I'm trying to not.
Yeah. So I think we've cracked the case. But so I would definitely say they're the villain in all this. I think Toei is exempt because they're backed into a corner and they have to adhere to the contract. Legally speaking, they have to do that. However, and this might be a little bit of a hot take for some. Now, I don't think there's enough, if any, evidence to confirm any of the accusations that have been thrown at Imamori. I will say, if she did things to break the contract, that's on her. But I don't think she's the villain in this. I would say she is primarily a victim in this. And the only responsibility she bears is in doing things that technically break that contract. But as I said, I think these are draconian, tyrannical contracts that these talent agencies are putting these performers under.
So here's a hot take that I picked up over the weekend talking to somebody that I know from Japan and I respect. The Japanese are very big on image. We've talked about this already in this podcast tonight. But even if she didn't do anything, like let's just say Imamori has done nothing. She is completely void of all blame. She is just a random 19-year-old girl who's an actress, and she never drank. She never had illicit affairs with married men. None of that ever happened. The fact that there's a tabloid article published by Bunsen that started a chain reaction of other stuff from the outside looking in, that perception is enough to ruin her career and to put everything with Toei at risk. So Saitsu is definitely the villain, but I would argue that Bunsen is no less.
I was going to say that would be the next one, the sub villain, so to speak, would be these tabloids.
The Goldar.
Yeah, basically. There you go. Seiju is Rita Repulsa. The tabloids are Goldar.
I would give Saitsu the designation to Zed.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Why not at this point? As long as we don't start equivocating anybody to Rito, I think we'll be fine.
Well, Rito's already here.
Yeah, true. I am Rito. Anyway, but all I'm saying is those are the ones ultimately to blame. The tabloids got the whole thing started. Seiju is the one who's responsible for the damage being done to Imamori's career, and most definitely to Toei and Gojuger and the Super Sentai franchise. Because unfortunately, even if they can avoid, I think Super Sentai can avoid any sort of stain from this scandal. Their 50th anniversary Sentai and possibly their last Sentai series for the time being is damaged goods because of this.
Well, okay.
And it's the worst possible timing.
So the way I look at it, as somebody who's been following Sentai very closely, in terms of the recent stuff, for context, I've seen King Ozer all the way through. I've seen Boom Boonzer all the way through. I've seen my fair bits of Zenkaiser. I've seen little bits and pieces of Dawn Brothers, and I've seen a good amount of Godzoozer. I would say that Godzoozer had a lot of faults in the writing, in the characterization prior to Mayagate.
Mm-hmm.
So I never, prior to the Mayagate, expected Godzoozer to leave a good taste in the mouth of the fandom at the end of the day. I, at the very least, or however you want to phrase that, I would expect the fandom to be like, oh, well, it's a good season because we like the motif of number one this, number one that. The entire
it's an anniversary season. They're doing crossovers and tributes to past
well,
seasons.
It's not really a crossover to other seasons. It's more of a okay. Let's bring back an old throwback that you'll be familiar with because you said it.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the power trip when you're covering Super Mega Force, you said something that I haven't really forgotten, that they took all those suits that we grew up with, nostalgia and all, and we put them back into Super Mega Force with no soul, no nothing. That's what Godzoozer is doing.
Yeah,
they
gave us the costumes, but not the characters. It's empty nostalgia, and
yes,
became a notorious sticking point between me and Michael. I don't know why. One of the most it is so bizarre. I know this is a minor tangent, but I will never forget how the most contentious thing he and I ever got into on that show, and it happened twice, is whether or not Megaforce or Samurai was slightly worse.
I will support
I could not believe that.
I will give Michael the point in this argument for the record. I think Samurai is slightly worse than Megaforce.
I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I also didn't agree with his reasoning, which is that he gave it points for nostalgia. I'm like, it's just costumes.
I don't give it the points for the nostalgia. I give it the points for I had less face palming or just annoying.
Well, okay, again, to continue the tangent.
And of course, both Nathans agree. Damn it, you're the same person.
The Nate Collective has spoken. Anyway, I give Samurai a few points just for what is it? Decker and Dayu.
Mm-hmm.
One, well, the big reason being that was the writers pushing back against the producer, who's just like, just do the Sentai exactly. And they're like, that's stupid. These characters aren't that good in the Sentai. That was the one thing they were able to get to change, and it made the characters better. They were the only interesting thing in Samurai for me. I will argue, however, Samurai had the worst premiere episode of any Power Ranger season. You want to talk about face palming? The premiere of Samurai was mind-bogglingly bad. I'm like, no wonder they waited to show it until the season was over.
Are you talking about the actual episode 1 premiere, or are you talking about the actual premiere that we got?
The actual 2-part premiere.
Okay.
Because I watched the show in proper order, and I hated it. And I'm like, no. And then I read later, it's like, oh yeah, they didn't air it until after the season was over. It's like, well, no wonder.
So actually, and this is some history that your fans probably don't know about us, but prior to the Toku Secrets, we had another podcast prior to it named the Otaku Sentai Disney Ranger podcast. And we were watching Samurai on a weekly basis. So I watched everything in real time on Nick. And I never really thought about the fact that, hey, we don't have a real opening to the season. It just kind of opens with this stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why. And that is why. And so it's got the worst premiere, I think, of any Power Ranger season. And I will accept no arguments. to the contrary, and possibly the worst Red Ranger. I mean, what is it? Troy in Megaforce is a figurative and literal redwood. Where's my drum? Where's my drum? I'm terrible at this, but I have a new soundboard and I don't know where everything is. Where is it? Such a professional here. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, I found it. Yeah, I found it. But as my co-host jokingly said, but misspelled, all hail Jaden Christ. I can't.
What did you misspell?
I can't. Yeah, he put Samurai's better haul Jaden Christ. But I can't stand Jaden.
No, Jaden.
I hate Jaden so much because the show and those characters want to worship him. And I, as the audience, refuse.
I mean, and my Nate has kind of hit it on the head a little bit for why I like Megaforce better, but not entirely. That's a pseudo.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you. It's more for the actress than that character because they do nothing with the character. Anyway,
and that's why Lada Moran exists.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done with that tangent.
Yeah.
But
so back to the real podcast.
Back to the real podcast. I may still clip that out and just throw it onto the YouTube channel just for the heck of it. Anyway,
you said,
yeah. I've gotten into the habit of doing that now. If I do these like live things, I think there's interesting little bits of it. I'll just clip them out and put them out there. That's a thing.
You should clip up the Siobara part.
Yeah.
I think that's a piece that needs to be put out there for more eyes to get on it.
Yeah. But anyway, I can't even remember what we were talking. Well, you were talking about Gojuger, and it's kind of doing the Megaforce thing. Yeah.
Well, Gojuger,
and I was saying that it's gonna go down as damaged goods.
It is,
regardless of the quality of the show beforehand. What's being done to it now is making it damaged goods.
And a lot of people, even somebody in your chat earlier, I forget who it was, they said they don't think they can watch Gojuger anymore now. That's a very common.
I think it was Jake. He was saying that he thought about watching it, but he doesn't want to support it now. And the thing with stuff like that is that that's a bit of a two-edged sword. On one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, who are you hurting? You're hurting Toei and everybody else who had nothing to do with any of these controversies.
Well, okay. To expand on your point and to give it some more realism, yeah, you can not watch it, and you're not boycotting Toei because again, Toei does not care about the Western audience because we're not supporting them through TV Asahi or through toy sales in Japan. So we are not the demographic here at hand. So if you choose to watch it via piracy or you choose to not watch it, you're not hurting anyone except your own enjoyment if you enjoyed Gojuger prior.
Mm-hmm. I do have a slight pushback with that. And that is, I think what you're saying in terms of Gojuger, I think that is true. However, personal observations here, and I could be completely off base. What I have been seeing is I think Toei is seeing what Tsuburaya has been doing the last few years with this incredibly aggressive rollout of Ultraman after they got out from under some ridiculous legal issues. Yeah. It could be a whole podcast unto itself. And they have just been aggressively pushing Ultraman in here, and they're seeing them be successful with that. I think Toei wants to try to get in on that. That's why Kamen Rider Zest is being simulcast thanks to Shout Factory. And I've been watching it every week. I feel like they built that show from the ground up to have an international appeal.
It's really good.
And they're doing it for practical reasons, as we brought up before, which is that the Japanese audience is shrinking, and they're like, we got to hit the bottom line here. So we're going to have to expand out. We know there's already interest internationally for this. Let's actually and be intentional about tapping into that. And I think this might be a decent way to kind of transition into the next topic, segue into the next topic properly. I think what's going on with Super Sentai right now is they're trying to get around those Hasbro contracts.
I know what you're going for here. I see it. And I've done a bit of a deep dive into this topic recently. And yes, there are some contractual problems with the current Hasbro owning Power Rangers as an IP here in America, or in the West more broadly, if you want to be specific, and Japan and Toei owning the Sentai in the select Asian countries over there on that side of the world. But there's a lot of nuance to that statement that you made that is not really based in the facts of what is out there. So I am going to stumble over my memory here a little bit because I have not done all my notes yet, because I do have plans to properly annotate it out and run it through on Tokyo Secrets at some point when I get some time. But the gist of it is there are two territories on this globe in terms of the Tokusatsu fandom and Power Rangers Super Sentai. One territory is where Toei releases Super Sentai and where Hasbro can release Power Rangers stuff. And when you have the contract out there, like when we first enacted the contract back in 92 for Saban to take Zyuranger and make Mighty Morphin, those are the boundaries that were drawn on, hey, you can release Zyuranger in these Asian countries, we can release Rangers in these Western countries, and everyone's happy end of the day. But the thing that our fandom is not really understanding is if you look at the contracts, Super Sentai is not tied to Hasbro in the way that they think. So Gozidzer, Tokyuzer, Zenkaizer, Kiramazer, these are all Sentai that have never been adapted into a Western Saban Hasbro season of Power Rangers. These stand alone. So Toei can do whatever they want, from my understanding of the contracts, with those seasons. If they want to put it on YouTube and release it to the world, as far as I understand it from my digging into it so far, they can. They could totally put Zenkaizer on YouTube and have no repercussions legally. They could put Gozidzer on YouTube and have no repercussions legally. Now, if they want to put Senkenzer, which is what Samurai is based off of, or Gokaizer, which is what Megaforce is based off of, then you would not be able to have that happen because YouTube is a global audience and the contracts stand that, well, you can't have international broadcast of your Megaforce and Gokaiger conflict. So that's the nuance in there that I feel is being lost in the fandom.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that is based on, say, the Sentai releases that we got from Shout. Because they had to go through, my understanding is that there were hoops that had to be jumped through to make all of those possible, which is, and some of them weren't jumped through for all of them, because when we got those, got like what, 3 kind of out of nowhere random releases after we hadn't had any for years.
Yeah.
You know, and my theory has always been those were previous contracts that when they were going through the books, they're like, oh, dang it, we have to fulfill these. Because you'll notice they threw them out there, gave them a bit of fanfare, but none of those newer ones were made available for streaming.
Yeah.
They were put out on DVD and they were done. And that's in part because streaming rights and physical media rights are 2 different things.
Right.
So I'm guessing those contracts that they had to honor were just for DVD releases.
I think the term that I've seen used is home movie release or home whatever release, which would constitute DVD, Blu-ray, VCR, whatever you want to call it. So, I think that's the better terminology to use there legally.
For sure. But in our cases, it's probably going to be DVDs.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, before all the Maya Gay stuff got started, and it was, and this has been confusing because Toei has not, as far as I know, and I've been talking with Dustin and been watching content creators talking about this, there hasn't really been any official word from Toei. They have just let the story continue to circulate out there. Super Sentai is ending. And people are like, does that mean the show is canceled? Does that mean the show's going on hiatus? The franchise, I should say. Does it mean they're just rebranding it so they can get around these contracts and all of the things? And people say, oh, they're gonna rebrand it to Universe Warriors. And I'm like, that sounds like the off-brand Power Rangers toys you would find in dollar stores back in the day.
So let me walk you through some preliminary research, a preview, if you might, for something I'm going to do once I get more notes put together. Universe Warriors is not a real thing. I found out. There is no trademark in Japan. We went looking for it. I did not find any trademark in the Japanese. I forget the name of their library, but they have a library where all the trademarks are held. There is no Universe Warrior registered by anyone, much less Toei. So I'm not even certain where the Universe Warrior thing came from at this point. Because up until 3 days ago, I've been following the bloggers around and saying, oh yeah, okay, Universe Warrior is going to replace Sentai. We're all good to go. But I'm not seeing it. I don't see it anywhere. There is no proof, no official thing saying that Universe Warriors is going to be the spiritual successor to Sentai going forward.
Or even what it is.
Right. Now, at the same time, a lot of rumors have been coming out about what else could be coming if not Universe Warriors. And they had this idea that, okay, maybe instead of Sentai and maybe instead of Universe Warriors, we'd have this detective-based tokusatsu TV show coming out in place of it, which would be the spiritual successor to Sentai. But there's nothing confirming that beyond some online blog or just something on Reddit. I don't even know where it came from originally, but that's all we're getting. There is nothing that we know beyond TV Asahi has stated, and I'll be very careful in the wording here. They have stated that Super Sentai is ending on their channel. But does that mean that Sentai will move forward to another venue? Like another
different
channel,
network.
YouTube? Right.
Yeah, a different network, because that's what TV Asahi is. It's a TV network.
Right. So if they leave TV Asahi, are they going to go to another network? Are they going to go to YouTube? Are they going to do something different? We don't have any inkling from Toei yet. There's nothing out there indicating the plan going forward.
Yeah.
So for the moment,
which I do find concerning, because Toei is just doing nothing about this. They're just letting the rumors circulate, and they're not confirming one way or the other, which makes me wonder if the truth of the matter is they're not making more Sentai.
Well, I
At least
think
for the time being.
I suspect, and this is complete speculation, this has no basis in anything official from Toei, from Bandai, or anyone related to the matter. But I suspect they might take a gap year. Because if you look at the happenstance, Ghost User was 49. It was not 50. Meaning, whatever was going to come out this year in 2026 would have been the real anniversary. So they had something planned for why they wanted this to be the last one. So I think there's still something out there that they have not revealed yet. Maybe it's a late game. Maybe it's something that we can only know after Gozeezer's done.
Mm-hmm.
And, it could be that there is a trademark already out there, registered and ready to go, and they've already begun filming. But we're just not going to know what it is for a while because we have to get through the rest of Gozeezer. So my advice, honestly, is enjoy Gozeezer if you can. I know Mayaget's not making it easy. But then after Gozeezer ends, let's see what Toei does.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think Toei is going to leave it alone. 49 years is a long time to just up and drop something that you've built for 49 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's older than you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a pretty old thing that we're talking about here. It's not like a fling, it's a long committed thing. They've been working on it, they've been developing it, they've been doing stuff with it. And yeah, I know, Nate, I'm going to bring that up at some point.
Yeah, we'll get to that. You're jumping ahead. We'll get to that.
Yeah, but I think there's room for them to do something still, and I think they're staying quiet to not spoil something at the end of Gozeezer.
Mm-hmm. I do think that is that's a hopeful outlook with it.
Yeah.
The problem is that we're getting no indication one way or the other from Toei, which
we're not going to
is
for
what's
a while.
Making it frustrating with everything else that's going on. I hope that doesn't shoot them in the foot.
But see,
between now and the end of Gozeezer.
But see, that messaging that you put out there just now, where we're indirectly conflating the Maya thing with the Sentai thing, these are unrelated events.
Yeah, they are.
It's just unfortunate circumstance. And so, yeah, they're shooting themselves in the foot by not revealing it. But maybe they'll reveal something later.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't RPM end with no announcement from Saban for like a couple of months?
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure him buying it back was after RPM was done.
So
because that was purely a Disney season, and the season that followed after that was a glorified clip show.
Right, but
that also has kind of turned into lost media because I don't even know if Netflix still has it anymore.
I mean, I'm okay with that being lost media.
I'm going to be honest with you. I watched a handful of reversioned, and it was one of the most gimmicky things I've ever seen because I'm like, okay, if you're going to do this, commit to the bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Commit to the bit. The problem is that these comic book enhancements happen so infrequently, I forget I'm technically watching a new version of the show. So I'm just like, come on. If you're going to Batman 66 this, go all in.
Yeah. And I mean, I think maybe there's no precedent by Toei of doing this before, but we've seen other franchises doing it before because I'm almost convinced that there was a gap between RPM and Samurai to where we had like a year of nothing.
It wasn't a year of nothing. The gap between those was reversioned.
Right. But
which I'm pretty sure was something that Saban put together relatively quick because they knew it could maintain the brand awareness.
And it would be like a nostalgia to like kind of highlight the older fans to come back and see something to get them re-engaged. And then with Samurai, being so similar to the Mighty Morphin formula, that was their hook and line to try and get everyone back.
Yeah.
To get our generation back.
And the weird thing is that it succeeded, but I don't think time's been kind to the show.
No, it's not been kind, but so I'm not sure. Have you followed the fan club YouTube channel?
I think I've seen some of his videos, yes.
So I met the guy over the weekend in Orlando, and we were talking for a while about Power Rangers and just the history. And one thing we kept coming back to is the fandom is now old enough to attend cons and actively state, Samurai was my first, and I love Samurai. That's their Mighty Morphin. They don't know any better. They don't know any different. To them, Samurai and Megaforce are the things. I mean, there's a kid in my DMs every now and then who tells me Troy is his favorite Red.
I don't understand.
I mean, I understand.
I get it. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I don't get it.
Right. Well, okay. So you and I don't get it because we grew up in a different era. But if you were a wee Nate, a lad of 5 years old, and Samurai was on TV, and that's all you knew growing up was Samurai and Zayden and all those people, would you be any different?
I don't know. That is a very good question. I will admit I have returned to some things from my childhood that I'm like, oh no, it has not aged well. Because I will admit, just to give an example, just to make sure I'm not just going to make a statement. There was a Power Ranger competitor that actually supplanted Power Rangers for me for a while, and it was a Tsuburaya show. Interestingly, it was called Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. I was obsessed with that for a while.
Yeah,
I tried watching a few episodes a few years ago, and I'm like,
no,
you know what? Power Rangers is pretty good. Now, the Tokusatsu and the footage that they used was great, but everything around it was painful.
At least the Japanese is good for it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But
we like Gridman.
Yeah, we like Gridman. We don't
like
the horrendous subtitles that it got saddled with, but we like Gridman.
Oh my god, Nate, that was so painful for a while.
And the Blu-rays have the same subs.
Do they really?
They do.
Okay, so tangent real quick, because I have to be reminded again of this. The story I was told was somebody took the localized subtitles from South America, brought it to North America, and released it on Blu-ray or DVD or something.
You're sort of right. The subtitles were made by Toko HD, which is an Amazon channel. They are notorious for bad subs. Gridman just happens to be the worst example of it. I subscribed to them for a couple of months. Unfortunately, these podcast episodes are not out yet because we have been running into issues with production. But I did watch Kamen Rider Fies on Toku HD. Those subtitles at points were very dicey, but they were nothing compared to the Gridman subs. And the funny thing is, you can't watch Gridman anymore on Toku HD. My understanding is that and then the other funny thing was, Tsuburaya did try doing simulcast for Gridman for a little bit because that was at a time when that was starting to get popular. And I think, and they recycled those subtitles, not realizing what they were. And then I noticed that they just stopped simulcasting those episodes, the show, after a while. Unfortunately, those were the subs that they gave to Mill Creek, probably because they're like, we already have subs. Here you go.
Yeah.
And they didn't bother making new ones. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, those
because I don't need to. Because I find it a little difficult to believe that Japanese grade school children are swearing like sailors.
Oh my god.
Because my understanding is that what happened was that the people in South America who run Toku HD, my understanding, I could be wrong on that, is they machine translated the Japanese into Spanish, Portuguese, or whatever it was, and then machine translated that into English.
That's where I got the South American reference from. Okay, now it's all come back to me. I knew there's something Latin about it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. That's my understanding. But anyway, so there's all this uncertainty with Super Sentai. I wish we could have a straight answer. I have wondered how much Power Rangers factors into this, and I would not be surprised if that's at least part of it.
I don't think so. And so I know you're not very up to date with the newer seasons, but in my opinion, the King Ozer Boom Booms seasons have been very solid. King Ozer had one of the best stories of Sentai, hands down.
Quick pause. Edwin, what?
Wait, hang on.
He was watching the H-Man on Tubi, and one of the captions was Obama.
What is H-Man?
It's a Toho movie from the late 50s, if I remember correctly. It's about it's basically like a human mutant sort of a thing. This guy did an experiment, went very badly, and he ended up basically kind of turning himself into semi non-corporeal.
Okay.
Gotcha. It's a horror movie, actually. I highly recommend it. It's pretty good. It's very moody.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. But that's probably because Toby doesn't have proper subtitles. They just, most of the time, they just do captions.
Yeah.
And I think they're just auto-generated. But anyway.
Oh, AI. No, so I think, so going back to the point I was trying to make, Sentai was hitting a really good rhythm in the Reiwa era. Zenkaiser was not half bad from what I've seen of it. I've heard people tell me Dawn Riders is amazing. King Ozer is amazing. Boom Boonzer is also really damn good. It's just when you get to Gozuzer, the quality dropped a bit from what we had before. But I think they had the right formula to keep going. So I don't think Power Rangers had anything to do with it. I think it really does have to do with the infant rate diminishing in Japan, not enough new kids being born to justify Toei having Kamen Rider and Super Sentai and whatever else they got going on, like the Gavan thing that's coming up in the future. Sorry, spoilers, but no spoilers.
Yeah, which we'll get to that, but that's why it's a little bit baffling for me. And you know what? We're probably still going to kind of be talking about the Super Sentai thing, but I'm going to say that this is the official transition because this was definitely not on my bingo card. So we have no new Sentai, seemingly, and Metal Heroes is coming out of a 25-year hibernation. We've had some Metal Hero characters appear in crossover specials and in movies. Heck, thanks to Go Busters, Gavin is a version of Gavin is canon to Power Rangers. His name is Captain Chaku.
Yep.
But for all intents and purposes, Metal Heroes has been gone since the early 2000s.
It's true.
And now it's what is filling the vacuum, seemingly. We don't know for certain.
Well,
but it seems to be what that is now filling the vacuum. And I on one hand, I understand what Toei is doing because I think they're realizing that there's still interest. This is like one of their lesser franchises that was popular for a good amount of time, almost 20 years, and then they just stopped making it.
Can you highlight Nate's comment real quick?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, what, this? Yeah.
Yeah.
We jinxed it with TS. Had to go and decide we'd take a break from Sentai by covering Metal Heroes. It's our fault, Riz.
So to give you the background on that, we were, after Monster Ranger, going to sift gears and go into Beatbuster, which is what Beetleborgs is made from. So that was our plan for January.
Season 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the B-Fighters.
B-Fighter Kabuto?
Zuko, yeah. So we're going to cover both of them and do Beetleborgs and Beetleborgs Metallics.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our plan for next year to start off the year. So Nate's making the comment that, hey, because we decided to take a break from Sentai, Sentai said, screw you.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to say too much because I want the Henshin heroes to have a little bit of a surprise. But all I'll say is we're on the same wavelength when it comes to what we're doing next year.
And hey, we didn't pre-coordinate any of this.
We didn't pre-coordinate any of this. So it's just fascinating to me that Sentai is seemingly going away, retiring at least temporarily, and they're bringing Metal Heroes out of retirement. Not only are they bringing Metal Heroes out of retirement, they are rebooting. At least this is what it looks like. I have no idea what exactly is going on here, but it looks like they are rebooting their most popular Metal Hero with Space Sheriff Gavin, because we found out, what is it? It's Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity, which already sounds like a Sentai style title.
So let's be very clear for your audience on what we know and what we don't know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what we know is right now there is no new trademark that we can see on any of the Japanese registers for Super Sentai. In the same location, we also see Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity. Did I get that right?
Yes. Okay. If I remember correctly, that is the full title. It's like I said, it already sounds like a Sentai style title there.
Yeah. So there is a listing for this trademark in the Japanese IP data bank. That's what I'm gonna call it going forward because I keep forgetting. So that's all we know. There's no confirmation of University Heroes. There's no confirmation of Sentai coming to another channel yet. There's no confirmation that Gojira just goes on into like a season 50 somehow. None of that's been decided. So all we know is that Sentai is leaving TV Asahi, and we're gonna have a Space Sheriff Gavin revival of some kind. Now, the thing to note, and this is where I need to do some more digging, I think. I don't even know if it's been confirmed that it's a TV show trademark. It could be a video game trademark for all we know. It could be a manga. It could be something. We don't quite know what it is yet. So until Toei releases an official statement, we don't know a whole lot about the future with Gavin. Because there was a listing. Oh my god, I wish I had notes with me, but I didn't bring them on because I wasn't ready to complete all the notes yet. Mm-hmm. But there was a trademark for Kamen Rider something. Some really cool title, actually. Let's see if my phone has a link.
Well, while you're looking for that, Other Nate makes an interesting point. One last thing, it's not unprecedented. They put Kamen Rider on hiatus and had Metal Heroes fill its spot. Now it's the same with Sentai, possibly. And that is true because there was a gap of about 5 years between Kamen Rider Super 1. They did have a special in that interim. And then Toei made Kamen Rider Black and Black RX, both of which were very popular. But then Kamen Rider went on a proper hiatus for over a decade, and they kept making Super Sentai and Metal Heroes. And then, interestingly, not long after Kamen Rider comes back with Kuga, they stopped making Metal Heroes.
Okay, I found it. Kamen Rider Defense Warriors.
Okay,
that was a trademark that I saw during the researching on Reddit and stuff. So, at first glance, it sounded like another like a season or something, but turns out it's an upcoming mobile phone game.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like a mobile phone game to me.
Right.
I know I have not seen every Kamen Rider season, but I know a Kamen Rider title when I hear it. Oh, a Kamen Rider TV show title when I hear it, and that does not sound like one.
It's a tower defense game, apparently, with 33 Kamen Riders from all eras, including the Zets run.
Yeah.
It's not been released yet, but that's what the trademark is. So we don't know. In my opinion, we don't know enough about the Gavin to really even say it's like the next thing. a lot of bloggers have been saying, "Oh, hey, we have an empty slot at TV Asahi. Gavin's going to take it." But
Mm-hmm.
TV Asahi has not said anything. Toei
Yeah.
hasn't said anything.
Yeah. I get it. We don't have any official confirmation, but based on circumstantial evidence, I would be willing to place a bet that this is a reboot of Gavin.
Yeah.
Meant to take Super Sentai's time slot come next year.
And that's the most likely theory, and I would, as a fan, say, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Good night, Other Nate. Thanks for stopping by.
Yay. Podcast tomorrow night. We're doing 3 of them in a row.
Yay. I mean, I'm doing a little bit of recording tomorrow night too, so you're not alone. And then I'm recording again on Sunday because I'm recording ahead for the Film Vault.
We have to have enough content banked for the month of December because I'm out of town the first week and a half, and Nate's out of town the last part of December.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our only chance to really get content pre-recorded.
But to go back to this, I understand there's no official confirmation yet, even though I do think circumstantial evidence is pointing in that direction. I will say this. I do like the fact that Metal Heroes is coming back. I almost wonder if this is something that Toei's had in mind for a while, which might explain why it seems like Toei seems to be kind of trying to build an audience, on this side of the Pacific for Metal Heroes with all the releases they've been doing with Discotek. Discotek has become the place to get Metal Heroes.
Yeah.
Like, if Shout was the place to get Power Rangers and Sentai, Discotek is the place to get Metal Heroes. That has been the bread and butter of their Toku timeline. Yeah, they've put out a couple of Kamen Rider shows, most notably Black and Black RX. They went and rescued the Generation Kakaida licenses once Generation Kakaida went under, and they have been slowly re-releasing those.
Yeah,
we just got an official announcement and now a pre-order listing for the Kakaida reboot movie. So now all they have to do is announce that they have a Nazumon, and they have rescued all of, like I said, Generation Kakaida's licenses. But they've primarily been cranking out these Metal Hero shows. And they have put out one of the ones that was used for VR Troopers, and there's only a handful of them left that they still need to release. And 2 of them are the other, because there were 3 Metal Hero shows used for VR Troopers, and 2 of them are the ones that are still on that list. And I guarantee you, especially with now that VR Troopers is getting pushed now, with the Boom Studios comics, and I want them to re-release the freaking DVDs. And they're had to put out Beetleborgs again, because it should not cost me $1,900 to have all of the Shout Factory DVDs for Beetleborgs. I'm looking at you, eBay guy, who wants $1,900.
Hold up, what?
Look it up. There is a guy on eBay who is selling all 4 volumes, so the complete series of Beetleborgs, the Shout Factory DVDs, and he wants $1,900 for all 4 because the 4th volume is stupid hard to find. And the first volume of season 2 of Metallics is easier to find, but still difficult to find. The first 2 are relatively easy to come by, even though they are still a little pricey. But yeah, $1,900. And this guy will let you have all of them.
So I haven't seen 1900, but oh, nope. Found it. Okay.
It's still there. This guy has not figured it out. Nobody's going to take him up on this deal.
But I am seeing, hold on to your hats, for a low cost of $799.99, the Shout Factory Big Bad Beetleborg Season 1 and Big Beetleborgs Metallic Season 2.
Yeah.
For a low cost of $799.99.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, with those Discotek releases of the Japanese shows, if they're releasing more, they're doing well. All right. They're getting good sales out of this. And the fact that Beetleborgs and VR Troopers, despite really weird release schedules with all that, they have put those back up for streaming now. So people are rediscovering the show or discovering it for the first time.
Yeah.
I can't help but wonder, especially with this trademark, if this is part of like some grand plan by Toei to drum interest back up in Metal Heroes so they can throw out a reboot of Gavin. And then if that's successful, what I would like to see them do is not just reboot more of the Metal Heroes characters, but make new Metal Heroes.
I mean, it'd be really awesome to see it. I've never really watched a lot of Metal Heroes, to be honest with you, but I did enjoy the Gavin stuff that I've seen in Gokaiser and I think in Ninja a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I have a few of, I need to get the rest of them, but I do have a few of the Discotheque Metal Heroes episodes, and I've watched the first episodes of each of them, and they are all wonderfully bonkers, as you would expect 80s Toei tokusatsu to be.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I see the appeal of it because the aesthetic is very different from Super Sentai or even Ultraman for that matter. Very hard sci-fi, although the ones I was watching were the ones that took place in space. I'm a little less familiar with the ones that are terrestrial. So you've got a screen share here.
I just wanted to showcase me meeting all 3 VR troopers this past weekend.
That's really cool, actually. Man, they took good care of themselves. Look at those dudes. They're still jacked.
Dude, they're frightening. Also, Brad Hawkins is really good at karaoke.
Good to know.
Country, FYI, but nonetheless, karaoke. Yeah.
You know, Saban, maybe you should have made him the Gold Ranger. I'm just saying.
Been better than the Gold Ranger we got. Is that a hot take?
I mean, I liked it when they made Jason the Gold Ranger, but
that's
Triforia was kind of weird.
No. I think this guy over Jason as a return.
Ooh boy. Yeah, that might get you in a little bit of trouble there. But
it's fine.
Yeah. But anyway, all that to say, the possibility is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I hope that Toei doesn't squander it. You know, if you want to reboot this kind of forgotten franchise using its most popular character, that makes sense. But I would like to see new stuff after that.
I would like to see, like, how they fix the franchise and keep it going, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, am I still concerned what this could potentially mean for Super Sentai? I do. I think what will be really interesting is to see if Toei continues with this simulcast model that they have with Chow Factory. You know, because it seems like Zest has been doing well for them. Yeah. So I'm wondering if they'll keep doing that, because that's basically what Subaraya has been doing, in particular since about 2020. They had some other simulcast stuff on Crunchyroll, but they've really been leaning hard into these simulcasts since about 2020 with Ultraman Z. And I'm wondering if they'll keep doing that for the next Kamen Rider show, and then maybe, just maybe, get bold enough to say, like, okay, here's Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity.
Well, I mean, I think that's where they're going to go with it. It's just a matter of what is the game plan, and Toei has to make an announcement soon. Mm-hmm. Like, if they don't make an announcement by January, I'm going to get more worried.
Yeah.
I'm giving them until January before I officially get worried. Right now, I know it's a common thing in the fandom to get worried and freak out right now and like lose sleep, but I'm not going to worry about it until January.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if I know this is gonna maybe be a little bit of a downer, even if this is the true end of Sentai. Do you realize how much of Sentai I haven't seen?
Yeah,
A lot of it.
same.
Even if I only stick with what's been officially released in Japan, I am going to be occupied for a while.
Well,
And then you throw in all the Metal Heroes releases, I'm gonna be okay.
and
for a while.
that's what Nate's doing as well from our team. He's already gone through every Sentai up until Kidder Mazer, I think, or maybe he's on Zenkaiser now. I forget where he ended up, but yeah, he's getting close to the end. So we were talking about him doing Kamen Rider next. That's the next like binge through all of Kamen Rider.
Mm-hmm. And as much as I have a reputation for being a massive Ultraman fan, there's still some Ultraman I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys are more focused on Ultraman to begin with anyway.
It only looks that way. Yeah, we've only covered one Ultraman show.
Oh, really?
So far, yeah, we've only done one Ultraman. We're a relatively new podcast. We've done our first season was actually the franchise we've covered the most is Kamen Rider, because we started with Kamen Rider V3, and then we did the original Ultraman, and then what hasn't been released yet is we did Kamen Rider Phase, and then we shifted to anime and talked about the Guyver.
That's an interesting twist at the last moment there. I like that, though.
Yeah. Well, because the way we do it is that we launched with V3 because it's part of the title.
Yeah.
And then each host picks a show. And then we have listeners vote on which one gets covered first. And then we go in order of the votes.
See, we don't let our listeners vote.
Yeah, I understand. But we wanted to give this a try, be something a little different. Now, we've already decided what season 2 will be, but we've only mentioned what one of those are on the air. We're not revealing what the 3 host picks are yet. I'll tell you off the air. But
okay, cool.
I can tell you that we will be getting to a proper Sentai in season 2. Now, one of our rules is that because Henshin Power V3 is, for all intents and purposes, a spiritual successor to Power Trip and Henshin Men. So what's already been covered on those shows is exempt.
Yeah.
So all the Sentai from Zhu Ranger to Mega Ranger, that was on Power Trip, that's exempt. However, our first Sentai will be Time Ranger.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I actually want to... I need to listen to that when it comes out, because I have unpopular opinions compared to my co-host on that one.
That'll be interesting. And I'm looking forward. I've watched the first episode, and you're talking to somebody who's a gigantic fan of Time Force for Power Rangers.
Same. I am too, and that's why my opinions do not align with the rest of my co-hosts.
Yeah. Now, as for the rest of the season, it's a little bit typical, a little bit to be expected, and a little not to be expected. So, but I'll tell you what they are after off the air, because I don't want to spoil anything. Because it was quite the reveal when we recorded the episode where we said, here's what I want to do. But yeah, we got to get the rest of those episodes out before we can do that. But life finds a way to screw you over sometimes.
Oh my God. Yeah. I got to edit stuff tonight after we're done.
Yeah. But anyway, all I'm saying is it's a weird time to be a tokusatsu fan, particularly if you're a fan of what Toei produces.
Yep.
Ultraman is doing fine. It is doing very fine, because I think Tsuburaya figured it out first. Let's make Ultraman an international brand for practical reasons, among other things. And they are doing extremely well for themselves. I have never seen Ultraman. I mean, Ultraman it's not just popular in Japan, it's an institution in Japan. It
is. It's becoming huge out there.
Yeah. Oh, it's been huge for years. Well, Ultraman's more popular. It might be the most popular tokusatsu anything in Japan.
Yeah. And America,
as big as Kamen Rider is, Ultraman's even bigger.
And from what I can see in the anime fandom, Ultraman's also getting a lot of notoriety for its anime adaptations that are out there too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think Super Eye has figured it out, and I think Toei needs to take notice of it, and I think they're slowly learning, but Toei's going to have to change some of their business practices in order to make this work, because they can't keep trying to charge through the nose for these things and do it piecemeal. One of the things that Super Eye has done that has been very beneficial is they've only gone through one distributor for the most part. Like 99.9% of the stuff has been through one distributor, Mill Creek / Alliance Entertainment. The one exception I can think of currently was Shin Ultraman, which was a disaster, and I'm not going to get into it right now. That was ridiculous.
Same with Sin Kamen Rider. I didn't like that one.
Yeah, I'm annoyed with that too, because I'm like, I still think it's the weakest of those Shin movies, but I want a freaking Blu-ray.
Of course,
and I want a freaking Blu-ray of this newfangled version that Ano made, where it's like three or four episodes of the TV show. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's better that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think they need to follow that model, because until Japan figures out its birth rate and the cultural issues that are contributing to that, they have to. They can't keep relying on that domestic audience.
Yeah.
And so Toei, I think they're slowly figuring it out, but that's what they need to do.
No, they definitely have to do something, and I think, honestly, if they take a gap year on Sentai, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, like I said, Sentai's never had a hiatus.
Yeah, it's time for a hiatus. Let them rebuild, rebrand, do what they got to do. They'll come back. It's not over for good.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think people need to worry about this, because both Kamen Rider and Ultraman have bounced back from much longer hiatuses. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
circumstances are still a little different, but it's possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not that different, are they, for Kamen Rider?
Well, I'm talking about Japan had some economic issues back in the 80s and 90s that definitely contributed to those decisions, but they didn't have the birth rate issue that they have.
Okay. That's fair.
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's a little bit different, but I don't think we all have to freak out quite yet. And as I was seeing some people who were leaving comments are like, I'm not feeling much better after hearing this. And I get it. But maybe it's just the optimist in me. I don't think we have a whole lot to worry about.
No, I don't think there's a lot to worry about. But also, I think the fandom has been fed really well, right? Like, they've been given food for 49 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not used to the struggle. Like, I'll pick on this one because I know it's coming out soon, even though I don't really care for it all that much anymore. Like, all the Netflix TV shows that come out nowadays, it's a whole different world. It's not anything to do with Japan, but look at the gap between releases on that.
Yeah.
You have Stranger Things releasing every couple of years with a new season, and that's doing fine. But Sentai has been continuous, non-stop airing since 1975.
75.
I was 57. I was like, nope, that's way too early. So
the way I can usually remember is that all three of the big franchises are about 5 years apart.
Yeah. So, I think they've been spoiled a bit by continuous feeding of the Super Sentai, and it'll be fine. It's just precarious because now we got Power Rangers in this weird spot where
it's not just Super Sentai. That was the weird thing, because it seemed like when Power Rangers was in its weird spot, people are just like, well, fine, I'll just watch Super Sentai. And now Super Sentai's in a weird spot.
But it worked fine because Power Rangers ended and Super Sentai was getting really good with King Ode's era, Boom Boom's era was doing really well.
Yeah, and now Super Sentai's is in a similar boat.
And now we got Ninja.
It's like you can't win.
And now we got the Ninja Kids AI drama. We got possible UK reboot into work. I don't know what's going on.
We got Armor Sores, which is this weird.
I need to watch.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm like, oh, it's got some Power Ranger aesthetics. It's not really Power. And then I watched some clips. I was like, mother truckers, this is Power Rangers.
So I will say, because I feel like, and I might be misjudging, but I feel like we're getting close to the end of your podcast. So I do want to take a second.
I know. We don't want to go on to too many more tangents, but yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, you know what? Somebody come and give me some money, and I will make my pseudo parody Power Rangers, because I have come up with the perfect parody name for Power Rangers. I combined all of the most common words in Power Ranger titles.
Go on.
So you can't steal this from me. Anybody who's listening to this is officially trademarked as of now, even though I think I've said it on the air before. Super Dino Ninja Fury Force.
I'd watch it.
Those are all the most common words in Power Ranger titles.
Yeah. But
Super Dino Ninja Fury Force.
In lieu of Nate saving the franchise with his own rendition of Power Rangers.
Or, you know how you say Power Rangers? Call Carl over at Scyther. Put him in charge.
He
have
took
him
some of my thunder.
And have him bring as many of his actors over as you will allow as possible.
Even a Rito guy.
Make me the official new Rito. and you will print money. So you put Nathan Marchand as Rito, money is printed.
Yeah.
You will sell so many Rito Revolto figures, you will not know what to do with yourself.
So to get the rest of my thought out that you didn't.
I'm sorry. I completely derailed that.
No. You stole some of my thunder, but I saw some thunder left to smite.
I never gave you your rant master.
It's fine. We'll use it next time.
Okay.
So, like I was saying, Super Sentai's in a weird spot. Power Rangers is in a good spot. It's in a weird spot. Like Nate said, Carl Dutton has an amazing audio drama. I've listened to everything that's come out so far, I think. I don't think I've missed anything yet, but that's all amazing stuff. It's fantastic.
Boom is still making comic books, even though we thought they were going to stop making comic books.
Yeah, Power Rangers Prime is really good too. But in addition to all that, like the fan stuff is coming out. So I'm really good friends with the guys who make the Zenith Productions films. So they did Power Rangers Rail Riders, they did Power Rangers Beast Hunters. And those are fantastic. Honestly, Rail Riders in particular is very Saban-esque to the point where we think Zenith did Power Rangers better than Saban did Power Rangers back in the 90s and 2000s. Like, the quality of how they match Sentai scene with footage in the real world to make that seamless transition from what they film in America to what they took from the Japanese stock footage. It's too good. It's better than what they did in Time Ranger or Time Force, for example. So that's another one I would recommend. The Unworthy productions are pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Then
I have spoilers for one of Unworthy's little spin-off episodes. I was tickled to death when my wife, who murdered my least favorite mentor.
Who's your least favorite mentor? Oh, Gosei?
Yeah. How could you forget Gosei? That was a rant master for the ages, apparently.
No. If you want to talk rant master,
more like no say. That was the line I remember most.
It is. But if you want my opinion on your best rant master, and this is another tangent.
Oh, from Ninja Steel.
Your Ninja Steel rant master is a legend in my world.
Oh my word!
If I could ever,
we are still the podcast. The it's like I can't remember what title belt I made up for that is now, but it was like the
It's
podcast
pretty great.
champions or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. That was an entire production.
Yeah. So between Zenith, Unworthy, and a really good guy that I met at Orlando, and we've been covering their work for a while now, Tyler Austinell, I think I'm saying his last name correctly. He has a thing called the Megaforce Story, and they're recontextualizing the Megaforce Rangers origin story and giving them really good plots. Like Lida Moran, based on Zia, makes Zia a very good character. Emma's Pink Blossom, freaking fire. I almost had to use a Dragon Dagger grenade. I'm sorry. I was so close.
Wait. Oh, why is it not working? Wait, hold on. There. Just so you can hear it.
Yeah. So freaking fire. And then Dragonheart, they just did the premiere at Orlando this past weekend. Also really good. So while we have all these things in the official trademark world kind of uncertain with Power Rangers and Sentai, the fans are keeping things alive, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's enough for me to be satiated for the time being.
Yeah. And to be honest, Power Rangers would not be the first franchise to basically be quote unquote saved or maintained by fan productions.
Yeah.
Star Trek went through a phase like that too. So yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. And like I said, I still got plenty of stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I could get no new Sentai for 5 or even 10 years, I think, and I would be fine because there's still so much to go through.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's my soapbox of how people can cope with no new Sentai, no new Rangers. Hey, we have a plethora of people out there creating content. It's pretty damn good. And I mean, there's other creators out there that I'm aware of now that I'm tracking that are making their own stuff. I don't know how good they are yet, but it's out there and we can watch it and be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure what else to add to that.
No, I think I've said my piece.
I think I've said my piece too. This went longer than I expected, but I'm happy for that because I think we had a very worthwhile discussion, and I'm hoping that throwing this out into the ether can put some much needed truth, I think, much needed facts out into this, from what I'm hearing, kind of weirdly volatile fandom. I've been hearing about a lot of things related to all of this, and I'm just like, calm the heck down, people.
It'll be fine. We'll be okay.
We'll be okay. But before we sign off, Riz, this is time for your shameless self-promotion. Just
shameless self-promotion.
Just to remind everybody of the stuff you brought up earlier and anything else you want to mention. So go for it.
Yeah, so I'm Riz. I run AnimeSecrets.org. We have our 3 podcasts, Anime Declassified, Jedi Squadron, and Tokyo Secrets Podcast. Nate's been on Tokyo Secrets Podcast before, so it must be somewhat good.
Twice.
Yes.
Twice. Once for Shin Godzilla because
No, Godzilla 0.
Oh, bite is 0. Why do I have Shin? Yeah. I just got the new Shin Godzilla Blu-ray, so it's a 4K because so it's fresh on my mind. Yeah. So Godzilla minus 1.
Yep.
And then you interviewed me about my Rito special.
Yeah. So we've done those things. We have a pretty active YouTube channel. We post a lot of con panels, voice actors for anime. We post Ranger panels, Ranger interviews. Our Nate just interviewed this past weekend, and this is an exclusive to y'all because it's not going to come out for a while now. He interviewed Dan Ewing from RPM. He played the Black Ranger, Dylan.
Oh.
And we did ask, and spoilers for you, Nate. we did ask a question that you brought up in your Power Trip podcast.
Oh my.
So
I
there's some.
am excited. I love for those who may not know, I adore RPM. Despite the shenanigans that went on behind the scenes that mucked around with it, I absolutely adore that show. And yeah.
Yeah. So we have a lot of good stuff coming out there on our YouTube channel. We're currently pumping out a lot of like Ranger Stop Orlando content to kind of close out the year. But yeah, that's our spiel. Just check out the podcast, check out our YouTube. YouTube's Anime Secrets. You can find me personally at Brizzlord7 on Instagram. That's my main place where I post my podcaster personality type stuff. For my, just to get myself out there and let people see who I am and all that. So if you ever want to drop me a line, that's the best way to do it, is get me on Instagram. You could also email me at drake@animesecrets.org if you really want to. That's another way to get a hold of me. But yeah, that's my spiel.
Alrighty. For those who want to know how to get a hold of me or stuff with the podcast, listen to the credits, because you should always listen to the credits.
Always.
Although I will mention, go listen to the Monster Island Film Vault, my other podcast, a podcast seeking entertainment and enlightenment through tokusatsu, and check out my author website, nathanjsmarchand.com. I will have a new book out, hopefully, in the next few weeks, fingers crossed. It'll be a short story collection. So, and I'm working on a ton of other books all the time and a ton of other things all the time because I'm a workaholic.
What a workaholic.
Yeah, what a workaholic. And yes, we will be getting the rest of our season finished. I promise. It is in the works. I will keep cracking the whip at Chris to edit things. So you can hear us lose our mother trucking minds over Kamen Rider Phase, which I need a flow chart to understand the character dynamics on that show. I don't know if you've seen Kamen Rider Phase, Riz, but my word, the character relationships in that show.
Wild, huh? All right.
I was like, what is going on? Have you ever experienced a love triangle that technically that is more like a love square, but only has two people?
My first impulse reaction to that question was, I'll take Jetman for 500.
No, it's not. Jetman is normal by comparison to this. And it's something, and it's the type of thing that could have only happened, I think, at that moment in history when that show was made, because it was the early 2000s. And basically, the long and short of it is there is a young couple in that show who know each other in real life, and they also know each other online, but they only know each other's usernames online, and they don't realize that the people that they know in real life are the same people that they know online. And they try to have relationships with each other, both in real life and online, and feel like they are cheating on each other both ways.
Wow. I had to get a flow start in my brain real quick of all that, because I was like, whoa, hold up. No, you're right. We need to get a flow start.
To make it simpler, the guy is in love with this chick that he knows online, and then he meets the same chick in real life, doesn't realize it's the same one online, and starts two-timing the one he knows online to go out with the same girl in real life. And the girl does the same thing with him.
That's ridiculous.
So they are cheating on each other with each other.
But is it really cheating at that point?
That's the problem. That's what makes it weird. When I got to that point in the show, I'm like, what is even going on here?
Bro. Your
How
co-host.
how do you concoct circumstances, fictional or otherwise, where you cheat on your girlfriend with the same girlfriend?
It's almost like it's like the gymnastics you would need to watch the Flintstones episode where they're trying to trick Wilma into thinking that he's staying home when he's really going to the Buffalo Lodge or whatever.
Yeah, it's basically Cyrano de Bergerac on a lot of steroids and crack. That is one of the weirdest things I have ever said. Anyway, go check all of those out. More episodes coming. I'm going to end the stream and the episode now before we ramble ourselves. Yeah, before we ramble ourselves into oblivion. Bye, everybody.
Peace out, all.
Thank you for listening to Henshin Power V3, a podcast produced and hosted by Nathan Marchand,
Christopher Reiner,
and Jake Camber.
If you'd like to send us feedback, we'd love to hear from you. So email us at henshin.power.v3@gmail.com.
Follow us on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Thank you, Danny DeManna. Where our handle is at Henshin Power V3, and join our official Facebook groups, Power Rangers Legacy and the Marco Out Lounge. We also have a Discord server called the Marco Out Lounge. Check the show notes for links to all of them.
Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and other great podcatchers. The podcast logo was designed by Rebecca Hudgens. Follow her on Instagram at super_r_illustrations.
Our theme song is a Joe the Hero remix by GVG Kid, which is based on a track from the video game Beautiful Joe.
All film and audio clips belong to their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended or implied.
Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podchaser to spread the word about the show. And until next time,
Watch!